fit me, okay? So they'll do that. See, the white supremacists, they are masters of psychology. I mean, you know, they're the best psychologists in the world. They know how the mind works. They know how to make a black person laugh. They know how to make them cry. They know how to make them sad. They know how to do all of this. Why? Because they spend full time studying us. All right? We don't spend any time studying them. We spend full time studying us.
Yeah.
That's why we don't really learn anything about the world that we are, the real world, and who runs it that we are in. Because we spend all our time watching each other. One slave at the bottom of the ship watching the other slave at the bottom of the ship. Now, how much are you going to learn from that? Except how to have contempt for people who are enslaved, which is what we do. And that's why we go at each other every chance we get.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're down at the bottom of the ship hitting each other with our chains.
Okay.
We are chained now to the ship, the slave ship. That hasn't changed. So we spend our time doing what? Fighting each other in the bottom of the ship. And every now and then, the captain of the ship or the sailors in charge, whatnot, white, they come down and splash water on us or something, you know, turn the hose on us on them if they got one sophisticated that, you know, and break up the fight, you know, so that they can get some sleep. Because that's all it is. They don't care about us. I mean, you know, just break up the fight so we can get some sleep. You're disturbing us. You dark people, you slaves and whatnot. The captain has to get his rest. The captain can't put up with all that noise that you sometimes make. They don't mind you fighting each other as long as you don't kill each other, because we got to use you, okay? We'll let a few of you die. I mean, you know, that goes with the trade. That's part of the business. But that's basically what it's all about. Well, I have been saying, and I'll reiterate it, if you can't guarantee that people are going to have constructive intentions, anytime you go anywhere, everyone who is on the scene, particularly where it comes to black people, because we have all been loaded with poison. We have to realize that. We have a certain amount of hostility toward each other. We have to recognize that. You can get on a bus and you can almost feel the hostility if that bus is crowded with black people. I mean, you can just feel it. You can just feel that, you know, that there's vibes. It's not harmonious at all. It's not pleasant at all. I mean, when you get where you're going, you're anxious to get off of there. I mean, it's just, you can just feel something, even with no one saying anything, because there's all this hostility. The way you can see it in people's eyes, you can see it in their body language and whatnot. And this has always been, going back, I'll say, starting with right after World War II in particular. Because before World War II, you had the signs up in a lot of places. Rear seat for colored. White section only. And so that kept black people kind of on their toes and a little bit of affinity for each other, because even when they got on a bus, they were reminded that they were nothing, that you are nobody. Get to the back and don't step on any white people's feet on your way there, or you just might be dead. That's how you might spend your morning in the morgue. So you understand that, you boys and girls. You boys and gals, you nothing people, you Negroes. You shouldn't even be on the bus. You should be honored to even get on the same bus with white people. So that kept black people kind of looking at each other and saying, well, maybe we should have a little bit of affinity for each other, rather than nowadays when the signs are down and have long been down, we got on a bus with complete hostility. Total hostility. We ought to think about that. Someone says good morning to you. I mean, you look around, you know, as if to say, what you saying good morning to me for? I mean, you know, might be a good morning for you. It ain't no good morning for me. You don't know nothing about my life. I'll cut your throat. But that type of hostility. in their minds at least. They know who they are. We know who we are. We know we're like that, and we ought to stop it. I'm de-emphasizing the cult of personality. We've got to get away from this thing of Neely Fuller as some kind of leader. Neely Fuller is just a spokesperson for, hopefully, logic. I'm trying to get everyone to tap into logic. Like I sometimes use the character in Casablanca, the movie Casablanca, a real old movie that's kind of boring, really, to most people. But he's an individual.
Okay.
With everything against him. I wrote my book for the individual person who nobody will speak up for. In other words, you look around, you got nobody will help you.
Okay.
You don't have gang members, you don't have anybody. You're always alone. You're always alone. So I wrote a book for the person who's always alone. You got to figure out everything for yourself every day.
Every day. Okay.
Black people around you are not going to help you do nothing. That's the position you should take, all right, on the job and everywhere else.
Okay.
They're not going to back you up on nothing. You are alone, okay? So I wrote a book for the person who is 100% alone. And how do you function when you're 100% alone and all you got is yourself and whatever the Creator helps you do through logic? The system of white supremacy is a poisonous system, very poisonous, lethal, all right? Wipes out people. I mean, distorts people, messes people up, makes zombies out of people, the walking dead. That's what the system of white supremacy does. It's extremely powerful, all right? And it's wicked, okay? And it is supreme. It's got a bigger grip on the minds of the people of this planet than any other system ever invented in the minds of people. No religion is more powerful than the religion of white supremacy. And that's been proven over and over again. And no political system. I don't, people talk about capitalism, socialism, communism. The white supremacists are superior to all of that. Why? Because they are all of that. The white supremacists are the most powerful capitalists that the world has ever seen. They're the most powerful communists. They have more in common with each other than the world has ever seen. Just think of the word communism. It just means in common. That's all. You have in common with another person. The white supremacists have more in common with each other than they have with anybody. And they don't need to be in common with anybody else other than themselves. And that has made them extremely the most powerful communists and the most powerful capitalists and the most powerful socialists. They socialize with each other in such a way that they are more powerful than everybody else who socializes with themselves. Black people socialize, but their socializing doesn't mean nothing compared to the socializing that the white supremacists do. See, when you pay attention to words and what they really mean, and that's why you have a word guide.
Yes, sir.
Also in the textbook, I explain what a lot of words mean and what words to look for. See, we get all tied up in knots about what is socialism, what is communism, what is capitalism. Should you be for it or against it and whatnot? And the white supremacists say, hey, I don't care if you're for it, against it, or whatever. If you're a person of color, you come under me. I don't care what you call yourself. And I don't care what religion you call yourself. You come under me. And if you don't believe it, try me. I mean, like 5 minutes I can tell you. And in 6 minutes I can show you. Okay? And every non-white person on the planet understands that. All right? Now, we argue with ourselves about whether the white supremacists exist or not. But when the white supremacists come around, I notice nobody argues with them about whether there is such a thing as white supremacy. I've seen that put to a test over and over again. Black people argue themselves. Fuller, that white supremacy ain't nothing to that, man. You talking all that garbage and whatnot. Man, you've been so brainwashed. I mean, you one of them old back-of-the-bus Negroes from way back. Man, you can't keep up with the times. I mean, ain't no such thing as that. And then one white supremacist will show up, and the whole atmosphere changes. Now, let's nail this down right quick. the white supremacists will say anything.
Okay.
See what I mean? That's part of their deception. And I'm not going to name any names, but one very, people who say that he's a white supremacist, who is now in a very, very prominent position. What is he kind of known for, according to what people say in the news every day? They say he'll say anything.
Okay, I know you're talking about, yeah.
I'm not going to mention no names.
I got you.
Because, but I think you can figure it out.
Yes, sir.
I mean, but if a person is a white supremacist will say anything. And when they're saying that, they look over their shoulder at the other white supremacists, and they both wink at each other.
They wink.
Yeah, they wink at each other, and they say, these black people, they think that we got certain things that we won't say. We'll say anything that will work. That's the magic of being able to have power and to be able to say anything and have people nod, because you're already in power. They know that. So when you say something, they say that whatever you say must be right on point. No? I mean, in other words, the white supremacists are the greatest truth tellers on the planet.
Okay.
Why? Because they know more about the truth. The truth is just that which is than anybody. And they are the greatest people when it comes to lying. White males have always mistreated all females and taught black males and encouraged black males to mistreat black females. All right? So females all over the planet, all of the females all over the planet have been grossly, horrendously mistreated and are being mistreated even as we speak. I mean, that mistreatment is not isolated, whatnot. It's just people just mention it every now and then. But it's 24/7. It goes with the system of government that we have, the world government. It is okay to mistreat females, whether you're white or non-white, except if you're non-white, you better be very careful about mistreating a white female, all right? Now you can get into serious trouble. But for a white male to mistreat a white female, that's considered okay among the white supremacists themselves. I mean, that's almost like a handshake deal.
Wow.
And they have always done that. All right? At the same time, they will glorify them, all right, when it comes to other people. But when in the house themselves, they will kick that black female around, that white female around. White men will do that.
Yes,
People
sir.
who have worked in white people's houses have found that out. Particularly back in the old days when
Yes,
you
sir.
had a lot of maids.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes the maid has to come to the rescue of the lady of the house, you might say.
Wow.
And say, Mr. So-and-so, you shouldn't talk to her like that. I mean, she didn't do nothing. She didn't mean no harm and all like that. I mean, the black maid has to intervene in order to help the white female out.
Yes.
Or something. But then, on the other hand, the white female is also considering herself a part of the establishment, like in the slave plantation. The white female was abused by the white male, but if the black servant, the black female, who is the maid in the house, even talked back to the lady of the house. Now, wait a minute. All right, who's in charge here?
Okay.
And say, well, Miss Alice, I stood up for you yesterday when Mr. George was talking to you in an abusive fashion, and now you're talking to me in an abusive fashion. Say, yeah, but you're the maid.
Wow.
You are a Negro. You are a subordinate.
Yes.
You have nothing to do with the royal family's arguments.
Yes.
Don't get it mixed up, Hattie. All right? Don't get it mixed up. You are still a subordinate in our house. I mean, hey, it's one thing. In the system of white supremacy, the white supremacists always let black people know, I'm not only in charge of you
Yes.
in charge of everything that you claim is yours, including what you say is your woman.
Yeah.
Negro boy.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
say you got a wife. You ain't got nothing except what I say you have.
Mm.
You don't have a wife. You don't have children. You don't have anything. Why? Because I got you.
Wow.
All right?
Yeah.
And don't you ever forget it. I can have your wife in bed with me anytime I want to, and your daughters by your wife.
Mm.
And you know it, and I know it, but you turn a blind eye to it because you know you better.
Yeah.
All right? And that's always been. And that's true in 2017 all over the world.
Yes, sir.
The white supremacists control all of the affairs of people who they classify as non-white on this planet called Earth. Period. In all 9 areas of activity. Absolute control, not partial control, not slipshod control, not control maybe on a Tuesday, but not exactly on a Wednesday. Oh, no. It's absolute. All of the time. Nothing happens that's going to go anywhere without their approval. That's why you have to replace the entire system. You can't peck away at it. You can't say, well, I'll move a few chairs around in the prison camp. Well, yeah, you can move a few chairs around in the prison camp, but you're still in the prison camp. Okay?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. You can have a trustee in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp. And that's what black people are at the highest level. We're trustees. You work in the warden's office like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption.
But you're still in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp. You're still a prisoner. And every now and then, some black people tend to forget that. And the white supremacists always let them know. Oh, just because you have that title, you got to remember, boy, I gave you that title.
So you can be president.
You don't have a title of your own. You just have a title.
Okay.
You are beholden to me. Every move that you make has to be approved by me. And if you make one that's not approved by me, you will feel the sting from me. And they have proven this all over the world. All of the so-called presidents of African countries, these are not really countries. These are just titles that people have. The white supremacists will determine whether they eat or not. All right? Not to say anything about whether their people will have anything or not. The white supremacists determine whether or not they'll breathe. I mean, through the rest of this day. Pick any, non-white person on the planet and say what their title is and how much of a big army they have and all like that. And the white supremacist says, yeah, I don't care who he or she is. If they are classified as non-white, they can have a sudden heart attack and don't know how it happened. But I know how it happened because I did it. We know how to do things. We know how to eliminate people. I don't care how many guards they got. We control the air that people breathe. All right? Put that in your pipe and smoke it, boy. We control the air that you breathe, and we can cut that air off at any time. You don't believe it? Try us. Because a lot of you have tried thinking that you were the head of something, that you are now out of my jurisdiction. Any black person anywhere on this planet that has a so-called big title knows who their boss is if they tell the truth. And that boss is always somebody classified as white.
I ain't no black.
But then you have a huge number of white people who say, yes, let's keep it, but let's make it look like it's not what it is. And let's stay on that course. Let's be deceptive. Let's be hypocritical. Let's all get on the hypocritical wagon. Let's all smile when we're in pain and keep up the front. That's the best way of the future, because we'll have more stability that way and less unrest. Keep these black people confused and robotized and walking around not knowing what to do and what not, or what's going on. Keep them ignorant so that they don't even know what's going on or who's running things and really don't even care too much. Keep them in that state of mind. Because if we do it the old-fashioned way of just letting them know that, hey, white supremacy is here to stay forever, then they'll be angry and upset, and we'll have more problems. Yes, black people knew. Black people know that they want something different from what they're used to. They don't know too much about what it is, but they do know that they want something different in all areas of activity. They certainly want more money and a roof over their heads and what they would call a better life, without being able to define what that would mean, because black people have never been put in a situation where they had a whole lot of leeway for making these decisions. Decisions were always made for the victims of racism. The victims of racism have been in prison, just like people have been in prison for like forever. If you give them a little leeway and say, okay, well, you can go out into the prison yard now where you've been locked, confined to a cell. I mean, they say, okay, well, I can go out in the prison yard. Yeah, I'm with that. That's something different. I'll do anything that's different from what I'm doing, because I definitely don't like what I'm doing now. And so let me out into the prison yard. But I have a question. Once I get into the prison yard, what do I do out there? I mean, give me something. Give me a value system. Give me something, that I think that makes sense, or something. Even if it doesn't make sense, just give me something different, because I'm tired of doing what I'm doing. Now, I think that's the state of mind that black people have always been in, for the most part, because we've never been allowed to be in any other state of mind. Just give me something different. We don't care what it is. Let's all smile when we're in pain. The white supremacists, they manufacture hatred, because you have to do that. And you have, if you're going to dominate people and then mistreat them based on that domination and say that these people are eligible. You do admit that the people are really people, but you say they are a breed of people who are eligible to be mistreated. So you have to teach that to your offspring systematically. Over a period of time, you drum that into their heads over and over again. And you even drum that into the heads of the people that you're going to mistreat. You teach them, look at yourself in the mirror. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are something to be despised. Anything that looks like you, including your mother and your father and your neighbors, if it looks like you and it's moving around on this planet, you should despise it. Why? Because it is worthy of being despised. Why? Because it is dark. That's why. And anything in the form of a person that has dark skin should be despised. Say amen, boy. Say amen, girl, behind what I just told you. Anything that looks like it might be, just might be, in the form of a person, but that person has dark skin. The darker, the more that person or that thing that looks like a person is supposed to be despised. And by it being despised, you let it exist, but you let it exist with the understanding that it's supposed to be mistreated. If you tell it to do something and it doesn't do it, and it begins to run away from you, you shoot it. It's It's a thing. It's even something that you can't even describe as being on the level of a dog. Because after all, I mean, you know, a dog does have some type of proportionate something that you can value. But this thing in the form of a person that you call a black person, you don't know what that is, except it's something you're supposed to if you are classified as white, and even if you're classified as black, you are supposed to despise that thing and not only express it in words every now and then, not so much in the modern days, but you certainly express it in your actions toward it. Put it last on your list of things that are supposed to be given any kind of constructive consideration. And this is the society that we're in, worldwide. And that's another thing. Stop talking about in the Northwestern Hemisphere. This is worldwide, always has been. White supremacy is everywhere. There's no place you can go where it doesn't reign supreme. That's what it means by supreme. That's everywhere, in every area of activity. Economics, they control it. If there's any people of color calling themselves having some kind of economic system that's not subject to the white supremacists, you're fooling yourself. Education, they hoard all the knowledge and have you come to them to get it. They have it set up like that. And they tell you how much of it you can get. And not only that, if you're a person of color, they tell you what you can use it for and what you better not use it for. And they got the muscle to back it up. And then that's economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And if you have color in your skin, they dominate your movements in all of these areas of activity, truth be told. Absolutely, and they do it even at the what we call the lowest level. They'll tell you that you are now a high school graduate. You say, well, how am I a high school graduate? Because I said so, and here's a piece of paper that I made out 15 minutes ago, and I put your name on it, and I'm giving it to you. Because I'm the one who determines what people know and what they don't know. I'm the God here. So I'm saying that you know these things. And so you take the piece of paper and you look at it and you say, now, okay, that's nice. This sure is pretty. You know, it looks good. Got my name on it too. Say, okay, I gave you the piece of paper saying that you now have a degree of knowledge that I have given you. And I put your name on it that I have given you. And you say, okay, now what can I do with this? I'll talk to you about that later. Well, what do I do in the meantime? Just try to stay out of trouble. Then I'm going to see to it that you get in. But you go over there to this building or that building and get in line, and we might have something for you. Depends on how I feel by the time you get there. By the time you get over there in my brother's place. Because you can't do nothing with that piece of paper except what we say that you will do with it. And you ought to know that by now, since we orchestrate everything that you do. So when black people start talking about, well, I mean, where did Neely Fuller get his degree in fighting racism? You tell them that he doesn't have one, and nobody else has either. That's why I tell black people, just to make yourself feel good. Don't pump yourself up on a lie. Don't go around talking about, that you don't believe, because you say you don't believe in white supremacy, that, that white supremacists don't tell you what to do, and you're walking around on this planet as black as can be and saying that the white supremacists don't tell you what to do. I run my own business. They don't run my business. I run my own business. Well, stop and think. Stop and think and ask yourself, are you really telling the truth? No, these people don't tell me what to do. That's why I'm where I am today. Well, where are you today? If you're black and anywhere on this planet, exactly where are you today? Anywhere on this planet, if you're not under the system of white supremacy. That's the question. I started off this program like I start off and continue in all programs because it's a scientific fact. All problems are solved through the process of what? Questions and answers. So when a black person says, no white supremacists tell me what to do, oh, then the question is, does anybody tell you what to do, ever? And if so, who, when, where? And then go through the 9 areas of activity. Does anybody tell you what to do in economics? Does anybody tell you what to do and what you better not do in education? Does anybody tell you what to do and what not to do in entertainment, in labor, in law, in politics, in religion, in sex, in war? And if the answer you give me, and you're black, is that nobody tells me what to do. I'm my own boss. I got my own business and everything. You need to stop and think about what you're actually saying. Well, Haiti is on the list of what's supposed to be. Haiti, the people who are called Haitians, predominantly are people who are classified as non-white, but they're not supposed to ever have anything under the system of white supremacy except punishment for being arrogant enough under Toussaint to think that you, with your military skills, can take us over or tell us what to do. So many a historian has said that the reason Haiti is in the shape that it's in now, and sort of like the head wagging people of the world, you might say, everybody kind of looks on them with great pity. It's because the white supremacists made that decision. We're going to make examples of you. Don't you ever think that you can have military force against me, us white supremacists of the world. And we're going to make a perennial example of you up until the point we decide that we're not going to make that example. But you're going to be in poverty. You're going to be pitiful. You're going to be beggars of the first order. You're going to be dislocated trying to find a place to go because you can't stand being where you are, because I'm going to see to it that where you are will never be anything until I decide that you're going to be something.
That's like putting a vice grip on somebody.
Yes, and that's... they're letting the dark people of the entire world know, hey, you want to get in my face, look at Haiti. That's what's going to happen to you.
It's going to happen.
Now get out of my face. You can be comfortable in a prison, which is what the white supremacists have made the world for people of color, a prison. They've made the entire planet a prison that they run. And what happens in a prison? You assign people their bunks, where they eat, where they're going to get their food, where they can be at any given time. You just can't be any place. You got to get, if you have color in your skin, you got to get permission from those white people, not all white people I'm saying, but those white people who believe in white supremacy, they're the ones who are running things. So they tell a person, black, brown, red, yellow, beige, tan, anybody who has color in his or her skin, they say where you can be on this planet. They say, you can't come here. You can't go there. You better not cross that river. You didn't get my permission. boy, girl, gal, you didn't get my permission. Get my permission before you cross that river, before you cross that ocean, before you come in my ocean, or before you violate my airspace. You better not borrow a plane or nothing like that and fly in my airspace without my permission. I tell you people of color where you can go. If you want to trade with somebody, even one of your cousins, I mean, on a distant island somewhere, you better get my permission before you take off, because I will stop you on the high seas. You're on my ocean. This is my ocean. I don't care where the ocean is. It's mine. You get my permission. Yes, the white supremacists do this in all 9 areas of activity all of the time.
Okay.
See, in other words, the way to confuse people is to lead them to have questions with no answers. That's what confusion is. Lots of questions with no answers. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What are those people doing over there? Why are they doing it? And all like that.
I see.
Well, in all the areas of activity, the white supremacists say, keep those dark-skinned people confused.
So,
and that way, confusion brings on what? Frustration. Oh, you improve your self-esteem by doing things that work. This is what self-esteem comes from. Doing things that work, and work in a comfortable, fashion. In other words, you get comfort from it. And your self-esteem automatically is being built on you doing things and saying things that work for you. That's what self-esteem is. Doesn't work against you. Your self-esteem starts disappearing when you're doing things that are working against you. I mean, it just starts slowly easing away from you so that you don't have any left. But all so-called self-esteem comes from you know what to do, you know how to solve problems. See, basically that's it, problem solving. And that's where self-esteem comes from. When you get to the place you have a whole lot of problems, you don't know how to solve them, your self-esteem goes, and then you just start doing any kind of old thing. Just start lashing out at anything because you're frustrated. Confusion brings about frustration. Frustration brings about all kinds of chaos. And the chaos brings about all kinds of conflict if you're around other people, because you'll just lash out at everybody and then eventually lash out against yourself. I mean, what you're doing when you really just lash out at anybody and everybody with no particular reason for doing so, which is what black people do a lot of. That's why we are very toxic when we're around each other. We're frustrated, we're confused, we're angry, and we're going to take it out on somebody. We don't want to keep just hitting ourselves upside the head all day long, so we hit somebody else upside the head. Why? Because they look like us. And so since we're the ones that are confused, we want to lash out at anything that looks like the person that's confused.
Yes, sir.
So the person that looks like me is me. So since I'm not looking in a mirror all day long, and I'm angry with myself because I can't figure out what to do with myself, so I will pick out somebody that looks like me. This is the way it works. And I will lash out at that person. Might even kill them.
Wow.
What you looking at me for? Oh, you see my weaknesses. You see I'm confused. You see that I don't know what I'm doing. You think that I'm not a man. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. That's what I'll do with you. That'll take care of that. Meaning, I'm shooting myself. Because when I see them, I see myself. Because they are weak also. And they, black people expose each other's weaknesses and then get mad about it.
And then don't stand.
That is the reason we slaughter each other. And so the white supremacists will run that through the computer. Well, yesterday we had 18 classifications of sexuality that we're going to spread among the black people to improve their conditions. And you say, okay, what's the projection for next year? Well, we got 18 now. Next year, the projection is 52. 52 different types of sexuality to choose from for you black people. And you say, well, why are you doing this, sir? Well, it's going to improve things for you. You black people want to be improved, don't you? All right. Well, get on board with this. Listen to me. All right. You need to diversify your sexuality. I mean, it's something incorrect. Your sexuality is too limited. You talk about some male-female mess. I mean, well, you need to kind of branch out a little bit. I mean, all you ignorant black people all over the world talking about some male-female. I mean, are you crazy? Male with female? Are you crazy? No. Well, sir, out of all due regard, what should a male do? He's got a phallus, and the female has a vagina. Well, I'll tell you what. The white anus is the new black vagina. How about that, boy? Wow. Sir, what are you saying? Yeah, that's right. And the holy grail of all sexuality, as always, all you dumb, ignorant black people, the holy grail of all sexuality is what? The white female vagina. Black female vaginas are obsolete, boy. Have you heard? And you say, no, I haven't heard that, sir. Well, you just heard it now from me. And when I speak, that's God talking, right, boy? Yeah, okay. Let's do a little backslapping here. Let's do a little high five. Wow. You like that? Get on board, all you intellectual black people. We are going to disperse sexuality into thousands of different types of sexuality if we can get you to buy into it, to get you away from what? That black male with that black female, that's what. Because eventually that's what we're going to have to keep doing. We're going to have to make it real uncomfortable for that black female to be around a black male at all and having these little black offspring forever that's making problems for us, that we're getting to the place we can't govern. So we got to disperse your sexuality where you will trade in all your sexuality for some fancy bling-bling around your neck, and you got no phallus at all because I cut it out like I did back in the days when I used to hang you black people up on a tree and castrate you. Now I call it not castration, I call it sexual alteration.
Wow.
Don't you want your sex alterated, boy?
Yeah.
Come on in. I can alter your sex, and not only that, there's a bonus that goes with it. If you spread that word around the neighborhood, I'll give you good money. I'll put you in the movies. I'll put you on television.
All right.
I'll give you a spot. And now we'll, since you don't have any idea of what to do with yourself, not even your own bodies and whatnot, we'll just draw pictures all over your body and have you flock into that. We'll have you working hard, looking forward to getting enough money together to come into the tattoo parlor. And we will draw pictures. We'll draw designs. We'll draw whatever we imagine all over your body, like we used to do under the elevated tracks or over on some abandoned warehouse, because that's what you are. You are an abandoned warehouse. So I will draw tattoos on you and have you pay for it, because you don't have any idea of what to do with yourself. You're just looking around for somebody to tell you what is valuable, what to do, what not to do. You're looking around for somebody to tell you this, and we have always done the telling, because you don't have any idea of what to do with yourself. So that's what we do with you people. We always have ideas about what we are going to do. You don't have any ideas about what you are going to do when you get your cap and gown and walk out of an institution that I set up for you to get your learning. You have to look to me, and I will always tell you what to do and will always be to my advantage, because I'm a white supremacist. That's the way that works. White supremacy takes in 9 areas of activity, and anything that a white supremacist does is to strengthen the system of white supremacy. The system of white supremacy is already an institution. That's just another way of saying the system of white supremacy when you say institutionalized racism. Racism is white supremacy. White supremacy is racism. There's no other form of racism. So that's already in place. So I call it in capital letters the system of white supremacy. And that covers all areas of activity that involve non-white people who are the victims of the system of white supremacy. And those areas of activity are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That covers just about everything that everybody is engaged in at any minute of any day, anywhere on the planet, both white people and non-white people. I mean, and all of these areas of activity are interrelated. Religion is associated or interrelated with politics. Politics is interrelated with education. Education is interrelated with economics. Economics is interrelated with religion, and so on and so on and so on. So what the white supremacists did, they looked at the non-white people, the people of color on the planet, and say, we are going to dominate all of these people simultaneously, all of the time, in everything that they do and say. And we are going to figure out a way to not only dominate them, but we are going to mistreat them. Oh. We're not just going to be their bosses.
Okay.
We're going to mistreat them. For what? For fun, for glory, and for material gain.
Okay.
That's what white supremacy is. But the white supremacists will say anything. You will say, well, we have a system of white supremacy in place. It's Neely Fuller. He's going around saying that there's a system of white supremacy. And the white supremacists will say, if they think it will work for them, they'll just simply say, Neely Fuller is crazy. There's no such thing as white supremacy. It doesn't exist. It never did exist. He's making it all up. They'll say anything. A white supremacist will say anything that they think that people will believe. They don't care. They use words to do one thing, to strengthen their position that's already in place. Don't kill me, even though I teach you how to do it. Kill your brother and the fellow down the street. And anybody who remotely looks like you, kill it. Kill it, harm it, kick it, curse it. Write a song about kicking it and killing it and cursing it. And try to get everybody to listen to it. And then go out and do it and try to get them to do it. And call that our culture. Isn't that wonderful? I wish somebody would copy it. Everybody should be like that. Mass sickness. That's what the system of white supremacy spawns. You have done an excellent job. Even as we speak, it manifests itself all over the world. Get me a 9mm and kill somebody that looks like me. That's what I do. That's the mind of a stone victim. A person who has been completely victimized because their mind has been completely turned upside down, inside out, and then finally just completely oblivious. It's not even a man. Robotized. Niggerized. A thing. Not even remotely resembling a humane person, a human being. All 9 areas of activity, this is what the white supremacists enjoy. They have made the world a cesspool of this nonsense. Some areas of the world, people don't have the sophisticated pistols and rifles, so get a machete. Don't cut bananas off the tree, or cut sugar cane. Get a machete and whack off the arm of a black lady who tried to hide from you because you're a rapist. Teach her a lesson. And then walk around and feel proud of yourself.
Shame. Shame.
Strong black male image.
Shame.
We can stop it by becoming a little bit sane in this insane situation that's been produced and refined by the white supremacists. So if you just, all we really have to do is just say, hey, who's behind all of this stuff that's going on? We see what's going on the surface, and we are, you know, chomping at the bit to jump on the black women who are out here, I mean, shaking and doing this and selling themselves and all like that. But wait a minute. They weren't born doing this. So who's really behind this? And I'm always saying, anything that seems like it may be non-constructive that you see black people doing, immediately go to the usual suspects. That's what we do. And that's what I do. I say, wait a minute. This looks like something that the usual suspects has come up with. Almost anything that I see black people are doing has got a question mark on it. It doesn't even have to be something destructive.
Mm-hmm.
But if it looks like it might be leading to something destructive, I always say, hey, let's check this out and see what the white supremacists have to do with this. Or if there are some white supremacists that have to do with it. Because the assumption should always be that anything that you see black people doing that may have a question mark behind it, always suspect that it's a plot by the white supremacists and be willing to say so to the whole world. Always say, you know, and the term that you actually use exact terms, say the usual suspects, just like in the movie Casablanca. Say, hey, this looks like something concocted by the usual suspects. But they'll say, what are you talking about, fella? Who are the usual suspects? The white supremacists. It looks like another one of their schemes. Oh, yeah, but you don't have any proof of that and all that. I'm saying I suspect it. I don't have the proof, no. But I suspect it because it could be something destructive. Yeah, but it hasn't proven to be destructive so far. Yeah, so far. But I don't know what's going to happen when we turn around the corner. You know, the usual suspects always throw out some bait, just like catching a fish. They always throw black people something that looks like it's good on the surface.
Right.
And then 50 years later, it turns out to be something that's totally poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're 50 years behind wrestling with that poison. Anytime they come down the pike, you should have one thing in mind. We're talking about what to do about things now. When I see them coming, this is a part of the code. When you see people coming, I'm not talking about all white people, but when you see white people approaching you with anything, any kind of new fad, anything, any kind of something that's going to help you, always have in your mind, here they come, what are they up to now? That should be on every black person's lips on the entire planet. Here they come again. What are they up to now? That should be your mindset.
Right.
Now, you'll have white people who say, oh, that's a terrible attitude to have. No, it isn't. Because if you're coming there to do something that's going to be constructive, we should be the first, after it's proven to be constructive, after we're running through every type of test, and we've seen, hey, this is really constructive.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we should be the first to stand up and say, hey, we were suspicious of you, but that suspicion is gone because you have proven yourself to come with a constructive intent. White supremacy is not something you run into every now and then. Racism is not something that you encounter every now and then on a job. The whole job is racist. But I'm saying a person will say, you know, I ran into some racists on the job the other day. I think there's some racism going on in that place where I work. Racism is the job. The whole thing is racist because the whole world is racist. There's nothing on this planet that's going on that is not racist. By racist, I mean what? That is not being orchestrated either directly or indirectly by those white people. Here again, I want to emphasize, not all white people. I never said that, but it's being conducted by those white people who have perfected the institution of white supremacy. That was a choice, and it took them quite a while to get it together, but when they did, it turned out to be the greatest political and religious force that the world has ever known. There's no religious system on this planet right now that's stronger than the religion of white supremacy. I want to repeat that. There's no religion anywhere on this planet. I don't care if you mention Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Sokogakia, Mormonism. I don't care what ism you come up with. When the white supremacists speak, everybody jumps. That's what you go by. When they speak, everybody jumps. Everybody falls in line. Everybody starts running. They're trying to get their babies in their arms and running across the desert. And they're reciting their religious creeds and all like that. But they are running from the white supremacists if the white supremacist says, you better run, because I will put a hurting on you. Yes, there is a God somewhere, but I'm your God, and you will obey me. That's the white supremacist creed. If you have dark skin, you will obey me. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care who you clap your hands to. I don't care how many hosannas you sing in your elaborate churches. When I step in that church and say, everybody out of here, you better get out of there. You better get out of there, and you know it. And you know it not by Neely Fuller telling you this, but by your own experience. In fact, you can't even establish a church without my permission. I'm your Roman emperor, and you ain't figured out how to get me out of that position yet, which means I'm smarter than you are, all of you put together, all of you black, brown, red, yellow people on this planet don't have nothing for me, because when I speak, you jump, and that's proof that I'm supreme. And you can talk about all that ancient building the pyramids all you want to, and I will tell you, yeah, have fun. Talk about how you did this and how you did that. But when I tell you to get up out of that chair, you will move. When I tell you to sit down, you will sit in that chair, and you won't move until I say so. And I prove this every day. Neely Fuller doesn't have to tell you. Just get in my face, and you'll find out in about 2 seconds who your God is. And I've always proven this. Now, this is the voice of the people who believe in white supremacy. I've never seen anybody who didn't back down when they decide to get rough. When they really decide to get rough. Now, sometimes people get in their face and say all kinds of things. But it's one thing, if you're intelligent, have a little bit of intelligence, you'll notice the white supremacists don't move until they get ready. There are 9 areas of activity. The 7th area is religion. And economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The white supremacists, when they got the idea that they were going to establish something called white supremacy, they said, we have to dominate these people in all areas of activity, including their religion, particularly their religion, because religion is what? A strong belief backed up by action. That's all any religion is. And the white supremacists said, we're going to make white supremacy the strongest religion that has ever existed. They have succeeded in that. They are not in the process of doing that. Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Confucianism, Judaism, all of these other religions don't come anywhere close to being as strong as the religion of white supremacy, a strong belief backed up by action. So people are in complete disarray, confusion, which is what the white supremacists do. They confuse people. Well, we got them confused. We're working on getting them all confused sexually, but we have long ago got them confused when it came to the seventh area of activity, religion. All of these dark-skinned people around here killing each other, hitting each other over the head with the Bible, having endless barbershop arguments about what Ezekiel meant or what Solomon did or didn't do or what Ruth said or didn't say. We got them confused. That's what we do. We take any holy book and we read it and we thoroughly add to it and subtract from it. And then we distribute pamphlets, or samples of it. That adds to the confusion. With our names on it. And we establish different type of churches and whatnot. Different church on every corner with a different name. Supposed to be the same religion, but we got a different church with a different name. Adding to the confusion. Go over here to the Protestant church. Oh, no, they don't know what they're talking about. Then go over here to the Catholic church. And, oh, no, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, what about Jehovah's Witnesses? Okay, well, we'll sample some of that. And they don't know what they're talking about. And then the white supremacists sit back, well, when it comes to all you dark-skinned people, you got one religion. And that's the religion that I say that you have. But I might say, depending on how I feel, that you will have all of them at once or none of the above. But you will bow down to one religion, and that's the religion of white supremacy. I don't care what you think in your heads, and you black people can argue all you want to in the barbershops over there on the colored side of town or in your millions of churches. You can scream and yell and stomp and holler, but when the white supremacists walk into your church and say, all of you, get on your knees to me, because I'm the one who feeds you, clothes you, shelters you, and even allows you to have a church on this corner rather than a parking lot. So you will do what I say, or you will feel my wrath. I'm your God, and don't you ever forget it. Most white supremacists say, who, me?
Yes.
I'm not a white supremacist. I don't believe in racism. I'm a nice guy. Hey, I'll shake your hand. If you want a hug, I'll give it to you. I don't believe in that stuff and all like that. And all the time he's wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
All right? This is the modern day, the refined white supremacist. Mr. John Wayne apparently wasn't very refined. That's why I'm quite sure that the refined white supremacist said, hey, we all feel that way.
Yeah.
But you don't say it out loud in this day and time. This is to be expected.
Yes, sir.
You should always expect. You're in a world dominated by racism. There's one government on the planet. That's the government of white supremacy. All of the so-called governments are just pretend governments. They seem like they're governments. The white supremacists make the major decisions among the people of this planet. Most of the people on this planet are classified as non-white. The major decisions that affect the everyday existence of anybody classified as non-white is going to be decided by racist man and racist woman, people who are sometimes, in a generic sense, called white supremacists, people who believe in mistreating people based on color. They're the smartest and most powerful people on this planet. So therefore, when he goes into the store, like I said just a few minutes ago, black people have been given the reputation of being potential thieves and robbers, on a small-time level, because the greatest thieves are the white supremacists themselves. That's where we all learned it. Because they steal whole continents, okay? So that takes care of that. You're talking about theft. I mean, they glorify thievery and robbery, but they pass it on to their slaves, to their victims. So therefore, we have that kind of reputation. So we should expect that. I expect to be profiled all the time. You should, we're not in paradise. We are in a system of white supremacy worldwide.
Yes, sir.
If you have color in your skin, you are a prisoner of war already. So a prisoner of war walking up to a jewelry store, oh, sure, the doors are going to slam. And people are going to approach him with guns and say, what are you up to? You have color in your skin. You got a reputation. Your reputation is everything that's about not being somebody of any decency, of any correct intent. You people are throwaway people. You are a threat to our establishment anytime you show up without us sending for you. So therefore, you are eligible to be mistreated, pushed around, slammed to the ground, dislocated, forced to immigrate from one place to another because bombs are dropping all over the place.
Yes, sir.
This is what we do. And you don't understand this yet, you colored people of this planet? And we are doing it to you each and every day, all day, one way or another, in all areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. You are at war, or rather we are at war with you. Why? Because you are the incorrect color. You are the throwaway color. You're not even supposed to be here on the planet, but since you are here, we treat you like we want to treat you. Whatever sent you here must have made a mistake, because you people, you dark-skinned people, are a mistake in our eyes. The left muscle may come from the Creator. The many leaders, particularly religious leaders, say that's where their muscle is. They say they call on their Creator to settle all disputes. And I don't dispute that. I mean, because I'm not looking for an argument, a religious argument. So I say that, if you get in trouble, your followers get in trouble and whatnot, you call on your Creator to straighten it all out. What you perceive to be your Creator by whatever name, then it's straightened out. Because after all, the Creator of this universe can straighten out anything. I wouldn't disagree with anybody on that. And if they are in tune with that Creator, I'm quite sure, if they are in tune, that whatever they ask that Creator to do, the Creator will do it instantly. Probably. Depends on what type of arrangement that particular leader has and what type of arrangement, what type of understanding that particular leader has with the Creator. Because I've seen many people who say they have called on their Creator, and evidently they must not have been on excellent terms with their Creator, because the Creator didn't do what they asked the Creator to do. So that, but ultimately, whatever created all of us is our ultimate leader. But here on planetary Earth, the white supremacists have said, if you are a person that I have classified as non-white, I am your leader. And if you don't like it, I will prove to you that I am your leader by hurting you in all the different kind of ways that I can hurt people, and I got dozens and dozens and dozens of ways, which you well know. All of you black people know that I can hurt you anytime I want to. And a lot of you pray and all like that, but, your prayers are not answered. Haven't been answered so far when you get in trouble with me. So who is your real leader? Is it me, or is it somebody up in the sky or on the other side of the universe? It seems like you always obey me, because when you don't, I hurt you. And it seems like nobody's been able to stop me. So far. Maybe down the road, somebody will. But so far, none of you black leaders have proven that whomever you call on is able to protect you from me. Protect you from other people, maybe, but not from me, the white supremacist. That's why I call myself a white supremacist. I'm supreme over one thing, and that's you. Any person who, who is in touch, whatever can free us from this, just do it. No one should try to stop you. No one should raise their voice to say, I don't believe you can do it. You don't know whether they can or not. So I just stand back. That's what I recommend in the code book and everything. Anybody who says, I'm going to take the leadership of black people, because all the rest of these people who have come before me don't know what they're doing. So I'm assuming leadership. Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead, ma'am. I have no problem with you assuming leadership over me, because I definitely don't like the leader that I have now, which is the white supremacists. So take it, but you got to take it from them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's just a matter of how you're going to go about doing it. You're not taking it from me. I'm relinquishing mine. I'm not saying no. I'm not able. I'm just a victim. So if you can figure out a way to get them off of me, do it. Do it right now. I mean, I'll stand right back and watch you work out. Everything is a matter of cause and effect. So what we need is something we have never even thought about having, is a counter-racist code. That's what I've tried to write in my book, that would apply to each individual person, because this is the way it's got to be done. That's what I was trying to say last week. Each individual person has to have a code, things that they do, things that they don't do. And we can erode the system of racism. I mean, in record time, we could take all the cement out of between those bricks, you might say, of the structure of racism, so that it would just collapse, simply because it doesn't have structure anymore, on account of we have eroded that structure by the way that we think, speak, and act on a daily basis. That's all that it really takes, because that's how it's put together. Something that is very destructive. Whatever is going to cause destruction is evil. That's basically it.
Okay.
Now, everybody is capable of doing something that is destructive. And the white supremacist wants to emphasize destructive activity, evil activity, something that's going to always have a non-constructive result among dark-skinned people. This is their goal. They don't want to see non-white people doing anything that's constructive. They panic when they see that. If you're doing anything that makes sense, they practically lose their minds. No, we can't have them like that. We got to have them in a state of mind where they're doing stupid stuff all the time, destructive stuff all the time. Anytime that you look up and dark-skinned people are coming around, something very ugly is going to happen, because they're going to make ugly things happen, because we teach them to do ugly things, and we want to keep them in that frame of mind. If we lose that grasp on being able to control their behavior in a manner that they are non-constructive, except when we want them to be constructive. When we want them to be constructive for our benefit, then we'll allow them to do something constructive. But when they're among each other, see to it, watch them real close, and see to it that they don't do anything constructive. Because when they do something constructive, it means we're out of business. And we don't intend to be out of business. And what is our business? Mistreating people based on color. That's our business. That's our reason for being. That's our only reason for wanting to even breathe or be on the planet. What is the purpose of white supremacy? Mistreating people based on color for the fun, glory, and material benefit of people who are classified as white. That's the purpose of white supremacy in the modern day. Initially, it may have been another purpose, like genetic survival. But now they have been on such a roll for so long, it's for fun, glory, and material gain for the benefit of people classified as white. and for the complete confusion, destruction, and self-destruction among people classified as non-white. That's how they think the entire planet should be run forever. Don't do anything, first of all, to attract the attention. You have to be like a soldier on a battlefield. If you're a soldier on a battlefield, because that's where you are. We are all on a battlefield. We are on a battlefield. We're not in La La Land. This is not Oz. This is not Shangri-La. We are on a battlefield. And when you look up and you see anybody who might be a suspected race soldier, even 6 blocks away, have your antenna up to not attract attention, just like you would on a battlefield. You're wearing a uniform. Your uniform is your black skin. And you're not going to attract the attention of a sniper. I mean, you know, there's an enemy soldier over there in the bushes somewhere waiting on somebody like you to come along. Look at it just that way. Yes. Don't do anything to attract attention, because that sniper is going to do what a sniper does. If anybody's been in the Army or seen movies about the Army, a sniper does what a sniper does. He takes your head off.
Yes.
No question. So you got to think like that. You are walking down the street with your black skin, you might attract the attention of a sniper.
Yes.
Think that way, 24/7, all your life. That's going to happen. And when it happens again, it's going to happen again. I don't care how many demonstrations you have, or how many filling stations you burn down. It's going to continue to happen. What you do, you cannot attract that kind of attention. Mothers have to teach their offspring. We're in a war. We are in a war. If you don't know where you are, you're in a war. You're in a war. Anybody spotted with a gun in a war is subject to die instantly, or with anything that looks like a gun, period. Christmas morning, I mean, you got cap guns and whatnot under the Christmas tree. You go outside with one of those guns and whatnot, you're subject to die. Every mother has to understand that. Every father. Otherwise, you're just going to keep crying over these funerals. You have to understand the kind of world you're in. You can't be nonchalant about that.
Yes,
you're not in Oz. You're in a hostile world. You're surrounded by hostility. You always wake up every morning knowing that you're in a war. That's the first order of business. We're not in peacetime. There's no such thing as that. We're in the middle of a war that never has been stopped.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as peace being declared. People declare peace, but I'm talking about in a functional sense.
Yes, sir.
In reality, ever since the beginning of white supremacy, which is what I call the war, that's the only war that really counts.
Mm-hmm,
that's the war, that's the umbrella war of the entire planet. It's never stopped since the day that it was established. And everything that happens in a war is just a battle. And so the different battles are going on in different fronts. I mean, Ferguson and this and that, but the battles happen every day.
Right.
Every time there's an encounter of conflict between one white person and a non-white person.
Yes.
Every encounter is a part of the war.
Yes, sir.
In fact, even the most, what you might call bland or peaceful encounters, it's an encounter because there's a war going on between white and non-white.
Yes, sir.
Worldwide.
Yes, sir.
It's never stopped.
Never.
I mean, and people say, well, I work with white people every day. We get along fine and all like that. You're in a war, whether you know it or not, because the white supremacists who are running everything have never said that we are declaring a peace. We are continuing the system of white supremacy. So just because there are individual people who are smiling and laughing and joking and whatnot, and they're going to football games together and waving pennants and all like that, doesn't say that there's not a war going on that is never stopped. So what we need is codification to wrap this war up. It's got to be accelerated, and that's what I try to write with my book, the textbook for victims of white supremacy. We have to accelerate the pace in ridding the world of racism and replacing it with a world of justice. Kill, kill, kill. Find another black person, walk around, looking around, looking around, looking around, spotting another black person 2 blocks away.
Don't fuck with me!
Gravitate toward that person and find a reason to kill that person. We had an incident right here in Washington just a week or so ago where that old adage, that old, you might say, part of what you call black culture, what are you looking at me for? What are you looking at me for? I'll kill you, black person that looks just like me, because you looked at me. Now, white people look at you all day. White people look at you all day, or, you know, or they don't look at you because they don't even notice you because you're not that important. But here's some black person that you say, he's looking at me. What is he doing looking at me? And that's after going out of your way with a lot of us, let's tell the truth now, to get attention, doing everything you can to get attention, and then when somebody gives you the attention, what are you looking at me for? You don't know me. And then bang, because that's what happened the other day. Bang, bang, bang. I'll kill you. I'll kill you, person who looks like me. Why? Because you looked at me. That's why. I will kill you because you looked at me. Now, what is the look supposed to do? Well, you looked at me. Well, what is looking at you got to do with anything? Well, I don't know. I don't know why I do anything. I'm black. I ain't got no reason for what I do. I just do stuff. Just walk around on the street all day like a zombie, looking for something to do, and usually it's something that makes no sense at all. Now, that's not all black people by any means, particularly throughout the entire world, but in the Northwestern Hemisphere, that's a part of the culture that's been passed on. I heard stuff like that back in the early 1940s at least. And apparently, Marcus Garvey knew all about it back in the 1920s. This is 2016. We need to examine what we call black culture in fine detail and stop skirting around it and find out exactly what is the root cause of all of this. Of course, the root cause, in my opinion, is a system of white supremacy, which teaches black people that what you want to do in your life is find a reason to hurt yourself and other black people as much as you possibly can if you got color in your skin. That's the message that the white supremacists send to black people, particularly young black people, about their future. What you want to do with your life, since you don't have an idea of what to do anyway, I'll tell you, is find somebody that looks like you, try to hurt them as much as you can, and in the process hurt yourself as much as you can, and just get the hell out of our way, because we're the only people that really count, the white people who believe in white supremacy. Well, most white people don't even like to talk to black people because, you know, just on the conversation alone. It's on that. You know, most white people cut you off real short. You know, they don't have time for no random conversation. They'll mention, you know, how the Raiders going to do and something like that. That's about it. They do not, you know, most white men, and it's certainly not white women, have conversation with black people, period. Because they know we ain't talking about nothing that they need to hear. Now, if they think that you are a thinker and that you are a doer, that you get things done, they'll come looking for you to talk to you. But for the most part, they don't want to have no conversation. They sit next to you on the bus and whatnot. They haul out a newspaper and then hide their face behind it, so you don't even look at them. You know, and they definitely don't want to look at you.
Yo, I have seen that. I have seen that. Yeah, again, as I said, I have seen this repeatedly, and I encourage non-white people to do that. In fact, a non-white person asked me, how would you go about talking to white people about racism? And I told them, you don't have to do that if you're a victim. You can just talk to them if you're trying to get a cheap plane ticket somewhere. White people should be able to help you out with that. If you're trying to get a mortgage or anything constructive.
Oh, yeah, and when you hear them talking to each other, listen. Because in many cases, they are handing out constructive information. You pick up on things that you don't hear otherwise. But you just about know what you're going to hear from black people.
That's how the fuck we do it in the corner. And y'all niggas next. Word of my mother, nigga. Black, nigga. Fuck, nigga. Goddamn little homie. Goddamn little homie. Look at my face.
Usually it's not very constructive.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yes, you pass by 3 black people standing on the corner, and you pass by them, and the conversation is really depressing. Hey, man, I told the MF. Well, I ain't no fool. He come up getting in my face. I told him he better not do that again. That's what you hear, just in passing them on the street.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, so, he fooling around with that woman and coming over, bringing her over to my house. They sitting down there, they eating my food. I told them, don't be coming back over there no more, Yeah, I told them, How long have I been hearing that? Over and over again, year after year, decade after decade. The conversations are nothing but conflict or something depressing. Just passing them. Just passing by the average black person.
Wow.
Just hanging out. Standing there holding a conversation. Now, you go another block, and there's 2 white men there having a conversation, wearing hard hats. They probably, construction supervisors or something like that. See, they're saying, "Yeah, Brian. Now on this deal that we got going over on this 18th Street project, Now are we going to need blueprints for that? See, this, you're just passing by, but that's the kind of conversation you'll hear. Hello."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You just pass. It's just a brief conversation, or you got on the elevator with them, the freight elevator or something. And that's what you hear on the freight elevator between 2 white men talking. Yeah, Brian, so you come over and pick up the blueprints now, and that's on the 18th Street project. See, and we'll get started on that right away. We can do that, in a couple of weeks. If we should have it off and running, Say, okay, I'll see you. And then he gets off there. Then black people get on. Yeah, man, I told him if, he ain't the only one got a gun. Lots of people got guns, and I definitely got 2 or 3 of them. He come over there getting in my face again like he did last Thursday. I'll show him something. Then they get off the elevator. 2 different worlds altogether. Well, I simply say that white supremacy is the most powerful of all of the religions when it comes to non-white people. Non-white people try to practice a number of religions: Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Confucianism, black Mormons, I guess somewhere maybe black Amish people or non-white, Amish people. There might be some groups of people who are like that. But the white supremacists have the strongest and most powerful religion. And they go around and examine all of the dark people of the world
Okay.
to see what religions they are practicing. or what religions they say that they're trying to practice. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc., 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 plus all of the hundreds of tribal religions. Some of them, you know, names I can't even recognize and whatnot. But they say that these are their religions.
Okay.
And so the white supremacists will examine everybody's religion who is a person of color.
Okay.
And they will see if there's anything in that religion that's a danger to the religion of white supremacy. And they will say, oh, you're going to have to take that out of your religion. And so far, it has been proven, and you can check and see, that the non-white people always take that part out of their religion. And the white supremacists tell them,
so
this is what you better do.
So then the answer...
I don't agree with that part of your religion because that's bad for my business.
Okay.
I'm simply saying, in simple terms, the white supremacists, if you're black, will come and look at whatever your religion is. And they will say, okay, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. You can do everything except this, and this.
Okay.
And then if I'm practicing what I call my own religion, I'll say, well, wait a minute, but you're messing up my religion. I mean, you just can't come and do that. And they will say, oh, I can't? Well, you violate what I just said. You in practicing your religion, says, thou shalt do this and thou shalt do that and all like that. In any of the areas of activity, economics, education, sex, or whatnot, you got these religious things that you say that you practice that involved in sex, and you are a person of color, you're a black person, and you say your religion tells you not to do this when it comes to sex. I'm telling you to do this when it comes to sex.
Okay.
Or you're going to be in trouble with me.
Okay.
Now, you know, I don't care about you or your God. You don't get in trouble with me, boy.
Woo.
Or girl.
Okay.
I mean, so you take this out of your religion. If I catch you trying to practice this part of your religion, I'm going to come down on you with both feet.
All right.
And everything else, and you know it.
Okay.
And so the average black person, it has been proven, the average person of color says, what? Yowza.
Yowza.
We don't say it in those words. We don't verbalize it and all, but we very quietly don't do that anymore. Why? Because the master of the supreme religion on this planet among the people said so. Just more of the same of what you're looking at now, and becoming more and more sophisticated, more backstabbing, more black people walking around like zombies, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to value, not knowing what's important, not knowing the difference between a male and a female. Just stone, obliteration of the mind. Complete. No value system of any kind. Just going around doing things like robots, like Frankensteins. On the course that we're on now, because of we don't have a vision, and people who don't have a vision, I'm saying, like I said in my book, because people have asked me this down through the years, what is it that we should want, Mr. Fuller? And I said, well, we should want to be what people ought to be, if we can ever find out what that is. And so that's an evolving process. So we'll put a label on it, said we should be evolving toward universal man and universal woman. Now, what would that look like? We really don't know, but it would be the very best that there is in a most constructive manner. And the only way you know the difference between something constructive and something non-constructive is by trial and error. So you always try to do the constructive thing in every area of activity. In economics, what's the most constructive way to use your time and energy? Because that's the compensatory definition for economics, the use of time and energy. So what's the most constructive thing to do each and every minute of each and every day in the use of your time and energy? And then in the field of education, what's the most constructive way to educate people? it's important to just understand all of the things that the white supremacists do, because anything that you miss, that whatever you miss about the way they go about doing things, that's what's going to eventually trip you up. They already know that. I mean, the system of white supremacy is very, very, very finely tuned, like a smooth-running automobile engine. It's very fine-tuned, and they're always checking to see that that engine is running smoothly. If they hear any rattles or anything, I mean, they go and check on it immediately, because it's not supposed to happen. I mean, they want a smooth operation. And the refinement stage of white supremacy means they do it so smoothly that the average black person, the average non-white person will say, white supremacy, that doesn't exist. Oh, what's that fool talking about? What are these stupid people talking about some white supremacy? I do what I want to do. I go where I want to go. Nobody tell me what to do. You know, so then the white supremacist will look at that black person and say, that's exactly the way we want all of them to think, that we don't even exist. That everything, you know, that they're running everything, that black people run the world. That's the way we want them to think. That is the ultimate in the refinement stage of white supremacy. See, white supremacy goes through 4 stages. The first stage is establishment. I don't know when it was established. Some people say 600 years ago. Some people say 400 years. Some people say, no, 2,000 years. Then there are other people, depending on what scholar you talk to, say, oh, no, 6,000 years. That's when they really got established, 6,000 years ago. All right? That's a long time. Now, I say I don't know, but I do know that they are in business now, the biggest business on earth. No business is bigger than that, the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
So I'm saying I don't know when it's established, but it was established. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's number one. And then the second stage is maintenance. Just like anything that you start, you want to maintain it. You want to go around, you know, if you put together an aircraft or something like that, you come around and check. If you put together an air conditioning system or a plumbing system, you come and check it every now and then, see if it's running smoothly. That's what you call maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, you see it, everything is in place. And then expansion is when you take in more people. The expansion.
That's the third stage?
Supremacy. And there's more people on the planet now than there was, say, 10,000 years ago or 200 years ago. More people on the planet. And most of them are non-white. So you're getting more and more people, you know, as your capital, you might say, in your business. You're taking in more and more slaves because they're being born. More people are being born all the time. And they're being born in your prison. All right, that makes your prison expand. All right, you make more room for them in your prison. Okay, and then the last stage, and this is the stage they want to stay in, refinement. You make your prison look like it's not a prison, where the prisoners are concerned. Now you got a smooth operation situation.
Okay.
All right, where you have people walking around saying, nobody tells me what to do. I'm my own man. I'm 21 years old. I'm grown. All right, I ain't no child. I mean, you know, I go and do what I please, when I please, when, you know, whatever I please, and have the non-white females doing the same thing.
Okay.
That's a perfect situation for a prison master.
Okay, let me get this straight. Establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement.
Establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement.
Okay.
Now, they are trying to stay in the refinement stage. But, you know, a lot of black people are saying, wait a minute. We're in a system of racism. You can't fool me about that. You know, hey, racism does exist.
Okay.
Racism is real.
Racism is real.
Now, you got a whole lot of black people who are saying that now.
Okay.
Not all over the world. Not near as many as should be. Nowhere near as many.
Okay.
But you have a substantial number. Now, that disturbs the white supremacist business. Because in the refinement stage, you're not supposed to be aware that there is such a thing as racism.
Correct.
All right? It's supposed to be so smooth, so they are arguing among themselves now. The white supremacists are.
Okay.
And see, I mean, I told you to keep this thing in the refinement stage. Now you got others that are saying, no, it's kind of getting out of hand. We got to start using the hammer and the fist. We got to start gunning them down like we did in the old days. We got to be right in their face 24 hours a day.
Okay.
They said, yeah, that'll work for a little while, but all that'll do is stir them up.
Yeah.
You don't want to stir them up. You don't want to woke them up. Let these Negroes sleep on. Don't woke them up. Let them sleep on. All right, keep them asleep.
Okay.
Refinement stage.
Refinement.
That way you can lay down and go to sleep, and they'll be waiting on you hand and foot, thinking that they're serving each other, thinking that they're serving themselves. That's what you want, a slave-running machine.
All right.
There is a system of white supremacy, which is racism, which is designed to do what? Dominate and mistreat people of color. Anybody who is classified as black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, has a little bit of color in his or her skin, or somebody said that they did, even if a person looks white, but they say that, well, you got a great grandmother that had some color. All right. Oh, okay. Well, they're in the mistreatment category, right? Yep. Those are the people that you're supposed to mistreat because they got color in their skin. You know, if they got color in their skin, they're supposed to be mistreated. I mean, something is out of order if they're not being mistreated now. You got to mistreat those people that's got color in their skin. Well, why is that? You know, because I said so. Is that the reason? Yeah. That's all it took.
That's all it took. Wow.
And it's a lot of benefits that go with it. See? It's a lot of benefits that go with that. Mistreating people based on color, having a whole category of people, black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, just have some color in their skin, and you can do anything you want to with that person, and nobody's supposed to say anything about it. Isn't that a wonderful proposition? Have somebody wait on you hand and foot, do whatever you say do, think the way you want them to think, on account of the color of their skin. Don't you think that that's a wonderful thing to have when you got millions of people like that right there at your beck and call? Ain't that wonderful? Yeah, well, but that sounds like that ain't right. Well, we're not talking about right and wrong now. We're talking about what's convenient. Oh, well, it is convenient. Well, then, that's all we need to think about. What's convenient? All right? I mean, that's natural. That's normal. People like to do what's convenient, and racism is convenient for any person classified as white. All right? End of story. Period. And so the average white person takes a look at that and say, well, what if we didn't have racism? Then that means you don't have a category of people that you can mistreat and get away with. Do anything you want to with. Use any kind of way you want to. Underpay them. Don't pay them at all. I mean, you going to give that up? Give it up for what? What are you going to have if you give it up? Well, you got a point there. Yeah, I'll go with racism. So the average white person has every incentive to be a racist.
I see. Okay.
That's the bottom line that I want to, get to.
Okay.
Every white person, when given that kind of option, do you want the option of having people at your beck and call, people kissing your foot anytime you tell them to, and it ain't nothing they can do about it except kiss it? Isn't that a convenience? Well, you put it that way, it is. Now, you want to give it up and just have to everybody equal, which means you're going to have to work harder. You ain't got nobody to push around. When you get mad, you don't have nobody that you can go over across town and kick or shoot and whatnot. You just have to try to work it out. I mean, you don't have that convenience, Well, yeah, I see your point. Yes, I see your point. That's a wonderful point. Well, I know it ain't right, but it's convenient, like you say, and we'll worry about the right later. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, if ever.
If ever.
And that's all racism is, folks.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's a super convenience if you're white. Now, if I understand the question, have I been harassed
Yes.
because of my book? No, I haven't. What has happened is I've been ignored. So I say, yes, I've been harassed in that that way. See, the white supremacists are very shrewd. When they believe that, and this is just my belief, when they believe you're right on point and that they're allowing you to be on point, the first thing they do is not pay attention to you. And that's anybody, not just me. They pay attention to who's listening and seeing if anybody is listening and acting on what you're saying. And if they check that out and see that nobody is acting on it, because nobody really understands what you're doing or not interested in what you're doing or what you're saying and not acting on what is being said, that's the main thing. They look for the action. They don't care about the theories. You can talk about, you can have all the theories you want to. You can stand and make speeches all day. I mean, every day. You know, they don't care. What they do is, what's going to be the result? So far, they have looked at the results of my work, and they say, nobody's paying any attention to him. So we won't mention him, and the other people are not mentioning what he's doing or his book, which is what it is. It's not about him. It's what he wrote. Nobody's acting on it. So what? In other words, it's just like any criminal enterprise. If nobody's chasing us, if people are talking about we are doing stuff we shouldn't be doing, but nobody's doing anything about it, nobody's, they have analyzed it, and they talk about it. They say we're running this criminal operation and whatnot called white supremacy, but it's not taking any effect. Our slaves still go about doing what they always do, just get up in the morning and try to entertain each other. That's mostly what black people do, entertain each other and whatnot. So everything is, business as usual. We're right on course. We don't worry about nobody like Neely Fuller or nobody else. Doesn't make any difference who it is. Luther King and whatnot, I mean, he got to be a problem, all right? So when like in any criminal operation, see, when something gets to be a problem, maybe we have to whack somebody. Maybe we have to take care of somebody. We have to put a hit on somebody. And we'll put a hit on, and we got different ways of putting hits on people. I mean, we just let Marcus Garvey just, go back to Jamaica and die quietly after he started his steamship line. He thought he was on a roll. He had people marching in the streets and whatnot back in the old days and all like that, talking about Negro improvement, whatnot. But he died a broken person, and we saw to that. And, okay, you got another one coming up? Okay, Malcolm X or whomever, we'll be ready for him too. I mean, we know when to knock them down, okay? We don't like to put hits on it, like Solazzo said in the movie The Godfather. I don't like blood, Tom. Blood is a big expense, all right? In other words, it attracts too much attention and whatnot. So we don't want to beat up black people in the street, not in the refinement stage. A lot of us do, but some of us that get out of line, even the white supremacists put them in their place. So you're bad for business.
Yes.
You're around here, yelling the N-word all up and down the street. You don't want to do that. We're trying to be refined. We got a smooth operation here. We got these black people eating out of our hands. We got them doing all kinds of stupid stuff. That's what we want them to do. Be devoted to stupidity 24/7. And we got generations of them now, a couple of generations, maybe 3 or 4, just devoted to wholesale stupidity. Just walking around doing stupid stuff all day long, worshiping stupidity. That's the way we want them. And you around here calling them the N-word, you're going to make them get smart. We don't want no smart black people nowhere on this planet. So even though you're white, we're going to put a hit on you if you keep doing it. And they do that. They kill each other. They think nothing of it if you're bad for business. And you're white.
Okay.
I mean, hey, don't run around here calling these people the N-word when I got them working for me for nothing. And then you're going to stir them up. If they notice that I'm using that kind of language about them, they might start noticing other things I'm doing to them. And when you're subject to a system where the system is designed to be insulting, and that's the system of racism, and all non-white people are subject to that system, that's my evaluation, then you can expect to be insulted each and every day, either directly or indirectly, even when you don't think you're being insulted, even when the insulting language is not used. You're still being insulted by being subject to an insulting system, because the system of racism is insulting, and that's the only system that we've ever known. And when I say we, I mean the people who are classified as non-white. The white supremacists, and that's the correct title for them, of this planet, are the dominant political and religious force and economic force, if you want to use the term economics. I don't use it within that context, but they are the dominant people on the planet when it comes to non-white people. So non-white people can expect, we shouldn't get jolted when we're insulted or call names, anything like that. You can't, there's no way to pretty it up anyway. And when people do try to pretty up an incorrect system, then they're going more into the realm of illusion. And that is going to engender more frustration, confusion, and ultimately disappointment and anger. Because you can't walk around trying to evade reality. We're in a racist system. We're not in any other system. Racism is not something that people encounter every now and then. We're in a racist system. The entire system is racist. There's no part of the system that is not racist. In every area of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Now what does that mean? It means that the people who have chosen to be racist, meaning white supremacists, have become the most powerful political and religious people on the planet when it comes to non-white people. People who are classified as black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, etc., etc. And so therefore, that's an insulting system. And so black people have gotten to the place, particularly in the modern times, since what we call the post-chattel slavery, black people expect to be respected. That's why black people kill each other, many of them, many of the younger black people more than anybody, about this thing called dissing or being disrespected. You're in a disrespectful system, and all the killing that black people do among each other all the time, saying you're disrespecting me, therefore I have to kill you so that you won't disrespect me anymore. And then you run right into the same thing again and again and again. How many bodies can you stack up? Because you are being disrespected in a disrespectful system. If you're classified as black, you're not supposed to be respected. You're on a slave ship. The entire planet is a slave ship. It's not called that, but that's basically what it is. And the destination of that ship is just its own destination, meaning subjugation to the system of racism. There's no black person anywhere on the planet who is not subject to the system of racism. So you wake up in the morning, go through the day, and go to bed that night, and all through the night while you're asleep, you're being disrespected. You're being insulted because you have been put into a prison based on your color. That is one of the biggest insults, not only that a person can receive, but it's really a slap in the face and an attempted insult to the creator of the universe. But the white supremacists don't care about that. They don't mind insulting the creator of the universe. They'll say, I don't like your creation. You made all these black, brown, red, and yellow people and put them among me. I'm supposed to have the planet to myself. And since they're here, though, I will insult them and I will kick them around. Your product, even though I am your product, I don't want to be bothered with these other products that you made. So actually, they are not only at war with the black people of this planet, they're at war with their creator and with ours. Unless I've been misinformed. Because the white supremacists, those white people, not talking about all white people, talking about the most powerful white people who believe in the system of white supremacy, prevent that from happening. That's the answer. They don't want that to happen. They don't want anything that's going to be uplifting, you might say, to use that term, of non-white people to happen anywhere on this planet. And anytime they see something that's going to be constructive happening among non-white people, they step in. Black people are always talking about, well, we need to improve ourselves. We need to do this. Marcus Garvey talked about it. Give me a little capital so that I can get a shipping line, and so that our people will not be beggars, so that the Negroes, that we have here, that's what we were called then, will not be beggars, will not be robbers and thieves, that you'll be able to walk the streets in Harlem and whatnot and all the other places where black people are. And you can be safe because black people will not rob and steal from you because they have plenty of everything. They no longer want to do that. Most people are like that. Once they have things, they don't go around doing things like robbing and stealing people on the streets and all like that. So we can prevent that by seeing to it that people have the things that they need. So they are not out in the streets. They're at home enjoying themselves, and looking at the money coming in and whatnot. They're not thinking about harming anyone or anything like that. That's what we want. So I want to start a shipping line where we can go back and forth to Africa and all like that. And the white supremacist said, don't you know that if we wanted you to do that, we would have thought of that ourselves, Marcus, and all the rest of you black people who are always talking about going into business. Do you think that you are going to go into business on my planet without dealing with me? And I'm already in the business of keeping you in your place. And your place is under my foot. I could put you in business overnight, all of you. I could put you all in business. I don't intend to do that, and I don't intend for you to do it on your own. And if you start out doing it, I'll give it lip service and all like that, like I'll help you, but I'll only help you up to a point. And then I will take over your business or I will crush it. That's the deal. And everybody who is in business, all the black people who are what you might call being successful in business, at some point, the white supremacists step in and say, okay, you have reached a point now where you're fixing to get out from under my control. And that's not going to happen. And then it becomes officially codified. Why? Because it's the only logical way to go about doing it. That's why. You don't have no other options. If you got options, you put the options in there. It's not an option. Why? Based on logic. Based on the logic of what? You can't tell who's a racist and who isn't. You can't really testify under oath that a person is not a racist. A person may do that, but that's a gamble. Because non-white people have been fooled too many times by racists who came bearing gifts and declaring that they are not racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body. Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. Well, what reason do I have to believe you? Because I said so, and I got plenty of other people. Plenty of other people like whom? Well, there's a lot of black people who say that I'm not racist. Well, suppose you have fooled them. Oh, come on. I mean, you got to believe something. Yeah, I believe you could be a racist. That's what I believe. Because racism still exists. But nobody can ever find one. White people and black people say racism still exists. It's still a major problem. Everybody agrees on that. But you say, well, who are these racists? Where do they live? And all like that. Oh, they're out there somewhere. Well, does anybody have an idea who they are by name? Everybody goes silent. Can you find a few? Yeah, I think it's one or two up there in Utah somewhere, you know. Well, according to what I've written in the code book, black people are not qualified to celebrate anything. Prisoners are not in a celebratory condition. Black people are prisoners of war. The non-white people of the planet in the system of white supremacy were born in captivity. We're still born in captivity, all of us. Everybody of color on the planet is born in captivity. Captivity to whom? To racist man and racist woman, the white supremacists of this planet. You're born inside of their prison because they dictate what you do in all 9 areas of activity and what you don't do. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. They dictate this to all of the non-white people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to think, speak, and act according to what they allow you to do. So you're in prison. And so you're not, prisoners are not qualified. They can go ahead and do it, but you're not qualified to celebrate anything. But the white supremacists love for their prisoners to celebrate everything, including being in prison. Celebrate that.
Yeah.
Okay? Have fun. Get out there in the prison yard, and I mean, hey, just turn flips and sing and dance and play banjo. Slaves are always encouraged to do this. Entertain yourselves. Entertain yourselves until you drop.
Mm-hmm.
But just be back on that job come Monday.
Yeah.
All right? All that is just like what prisoners do. What do prisoners do? I mean, every chance they get walking around in the prison yard, they start a riot. They fight each other. They tear up everything around each other. And then they have to do what? Wimp out and go back to their cells. And then the prison masters say, okay, you had your little fun now. Now get back in your little cell. I'm going to give you all solitary confinement. I'm going to punish you. But you will learn, because I'm going to cut off everybody's food now. Like we do, like they do when we riot. They cut off jobs. They cut off food. We burn up the neighborhood and whatnot. And then we sit and look at the ashes like in the movie Do the Right Thing. And then we suddenly realize we can't build nothing. And not even allowed to build nothing. So then, now what do? You walk 16 blocks to get a quart of milk for grandma and stand in line arguing with other black people about who got there first. And then even start a fight about that with other black people. Now, this is all by design, folks. The white supremacists know what we are going to do before we do it. Why? Because they have plans for every black person on this planet. And they make plans 10, 15, 50 years ahead. And black people don't have a plan for what they're going to do in the next 2 weeks. And that's the truth. We have to be true, tell ourselves the truth. Because you can't straighten out anything without telling yourself the truth about your own flaws and your own weaknesses. And be able to admit that when somebody is stronger than you or smarter than you, that you've been beaten down and you've been outsmarted. And so far, that is the plight of black people worldwide, not just in South Side and West Side Chicago, but everywhere in the world. Johannesburg, Brazil, you name it. Anywhere you find people of color. And the darker they are, the more oppressed they are. And the more they are prone to turn on each other. Why? That's logical. I mean, you're in the prison yard. There's nobody in the prison yard but other prisoners. You're on the slave ship. There's nobody on the slave ship below deck but other slaves. So what do? You start a fight. All people do that. White people would do that if just a bunch of them on a boxcar heading to the death camp. And then the food runs out. What else are they going to do? Oh, respectful. Well, let's deal with that. Well, according to what I have written myself, it's impossible for anybody to give me respect. That can't be done anyway. Respect. Okay. And there's another word that goes before the word respect, according to the code. And that word is, it's a four-letter word, S-E-L-L.
Okay.
Self-respect. Now, self-respect is what I give to myself. That's the only type of respect that's worthy of the term respect. Whenever you say respect, you're talking about self-respect. So self-respect comes from yourself. Now, what is the definition, the compensatory definition for self-respect? All right, according to the code, and it's in the code book, self-respect is, or respect itself is, just one thing: refusing to lie to yourself. Don't tell yourself lies. You've thrown respect out the window. There's no respect involved nowhere when you go around telling yourself things that are not true, that you know are not true. Now you have lost self-respect. And you don't ever, another thing about respect, use of the word respect. Words are very important. You never ask anyone to respect you. There's three things you don't ask for. You never ask for respect, you never ask for an apology, and you never ask for love. Ever. From anybody. Ever. Don't let those words ever come out of your mouth that you ask somebody to respect you. Respect comes from yourself. It doesn't come from somebody else. Other people can be discourteous and all like that. That's on them. That has nothing to do with you. You don't care what they say. Let them shout, curse, throw things at the wall, whatnot. I mean, that's their business. And that's a part of what you call compensatory conversation control. Okay? Yes. See, if you beg somebody for respect, please respect me. Please apologize to me. Please love me. These things, for one thing, respect only comes from yourself, and apologies and love is something that people give voluntarily. Those other two things, apologies and love. You never ask anybody for an apology. Why? According to logic. Because it doesn't mean anything if you have to ask for it.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, it's when people come to you and say, I apologize for what I said to you the other day. That's when it has value.
Okay.
When you have to beat a person over the head and say, apologize to me, or I'm going to inflict injury on you, I'm going to say terrible things about you, or I'm going to do something to you, you better apologize. But person say, okay, I apologize. I apologize for slavery, all right? I apologize for all the things I'm going to do to you next week or this evening. And in fact, I will load you up with with apologies. I mean, and you'll have them in advance. How many do you need? The usual suspects, the white supremacists. The white supremacists have to come up with ways of having people, their subjects, tame at all times, just like you tame animals, or you train animals to be tame when you're around, and to go crazy when you're not around and turn on each other like dog fights. And that's what black people do in all the cities. You can see that. I mean, trying to run up the murder rate. Black people wake up in the morning and stick, young black males put their 9mm, down in their sock and around their waistband and have one down in their cargo pants. Might have 3 guns, okay? And they feel powerful enough to do what? To make trouble for themselves and certainly to make havoc with other people that look exactly like them. All of the boys that they went to school with and all like that, hunting each other down. This is their full-time job in order to do what? Shoot at each other. Why? Because somebody put that in a video game and it looked cool. Not stopping to think, now is this the most constructive activity I can contribute to my 17 years of existence on this planet, my 34 years of existence on this planet? Is this all I can think about? Is there anything else anywhere on the planet or in the universe that I can think about that would make some kind of sense other than doing this? And then the females going around finger popping and chewing gum and looking wide-eyed and bumping into things, and then, well, hey, this is life, and this is what I choose to do, and this is the greatest thing that ever was or ever will be, is being a member of the Bad Girls Club. So, what is this all about? It's all according to the white supremacist plan. That's what it's all about. And it's supposed to be what? Falling under the category of what? Non-constructive activity. And then the white supremacists, who are not engaged in overall in constructive activity because everything they do is just about dominating and mistreating people based on color. That's their whole reason for breathing. If black people look like they're getting to the place they don't much like cocaine, we'll come up with something else. We got about 15 dozen other items that we can feed them, and they're always looking for something new. Under the system of white supremacy, you can expect these things. These things are to be expected. Now, you can expect when they start out, to the extent that the white supremacist has anything to do with it. See, I can't say, according to the code, I cannot say that the Virginia or the North Carolina legislature and the people who are doing this by name, I can't name the people who are doing this and call them racist. I will say that if it has anything to do with non-white people that is detrimental, then whomever the racists are, even if they're on the moon, they are to blame if it is somehow detrimental. If it's somehow non-constructive, you always blame the white supremacists for anything that happens in the system of white supremacy that shouldn't happen. So if people are being drugged up like this, the black people don't know anything about drugs. We've said that like for ages. Cocaine and all like that, we didn't know anything about that. We didn't know how to use it in a detrimental way on a grand scale like the white supremacists have done. So if they have come up with new types of drugs, and they probably have hundreds of types and hundreds of different variations of detrimental drugs, which are just chemicals, by the way. They can mix and match them and whatnot in a laboratory and whatnot and say, let's go try this on the black people. Okay, well, let's try drug A, and then we'll try drug Q 5 years down the road. Now, when we try them out, we'll get them hooked on it. Then we will condemn them for being hooked on it, and then we'll tell them that they're unfit, antisocial, and therefore disqualified for the job. And then we'll go to the next stage saying that, you know what, since you're so drugged up and your children are so drugged up and everybody you know is so drugged up, you all come in next Thursday. And I'm not going to punish you because, after all, you are sick. But since you are a bunch of sick people, and you're kind of worthless, really, because you're unreliable on account of these drugs that you have chosen to take, thinking that will solve all your problems, and it just made a whole lot more problems. But you all come in, and I'll have mercy on you, and I'll just see to it that you don't have any offspring. So that'll be the next drug I'll give you. come in and all you dark-skinned people come in here and get sterilized because you're not going to do anything but produce a whole bunch of worthless children. And that's already been proven. You yourself say that your children are worthless. You even express how much they're worthless by, if I turn my back as your master for 5 minutes, you start killing each other. That's all you know what to do with each other. You don't know how to do anything with each other but kill each other and call each other names all day. You're constantly searching for newer and better names to call each other. You want to fight on the buses. You want to fight on the streets. So I'm just going to sterilize a bunch of you.
Wow.
And I'll be doing you a favor. Emotions do exist. Emotions, that's, you might say, the gasoline in the engine. All right? That's what emotions are. You have to have emotions. But gasoline separated from the engine gets you what? Nothing. As long as the gas is in the tank or in that pump over there at the filling station and is not connected with your engine in any way, you'll just have a gas pump that's full of gas. It'll be excellent gas, and it serves a purpose. Gasoline serves a purpose, serves a lot of purposes. I mean, it's very useful, and it's sitting over there in that pump. But you have to put the gas in the tank, and from the tank, the gasoline goes into the engine, and now you got what? You got some action going. But if that gas pump is in that filling station, and your car is parked right next to that gas pump, and there's no connection between your car, engine, and the gas pump, I'm talking about logic now, it'll sit there, both the gas pump and the car and the engine will sit there forever until finally the gas will just evaporate and go somewhere else where somebody wants to use gas, because that's the nature of the universe. You know, there's an old saying, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. That's whatever it is. That's why you got to keep your body moving, because if your body just sits still all the time, pretty soon it'll get to the place where it can't move, because that's the kind of signals your body is getting. Your body receives signals. So when you send your body that kind of signal, don't move, and you just sit there in one spot, you'll get to the place where when you send a signal to your body, your mind sends a signal, say, okay, ready to get up now. You ain't going to be able to get up. Now, they have found that out. From what? From experience, okay? We learn from things, okay? That's what logic is. See, emotions have to be attached to logic, like gasoline has to have a connection with that engine. And then you have to have sparks and fire and all like that. Things have to come together. Like I said earlier in this program, when we talk about that word separation. I mean, you know, everything is interconnected. Everything that is ever created was created for a reason by the Creator. Now, we don't know the reasons. I've often asked. In fact, as a 10-year-old, I was asking, why is everything here? You know? Why did they say that God made everything? Why did God make anything? Well, only God knows. I came to that conclusion, and only God is qualified to say. But we can say, well, evidently God wants us to do something while we are here, whatever we call God. Some of us don't believe in God, but we believe in something because we know that we didn't make ourselves. We know that we didn't, you know, and if we made ourselves, we don't remember it. So that tells us something right there. How come you don't remember it if you made yourself? If you made yourself, how come? That's logic, all right? Not based on emotion, just based on pure logic, cause and effect. If you didn't make yourself, or if you did make yourself, don't you remember when you made yourself and what you made yourself out of? And when you decided to make yourself? I don't remember the day that I was born. I don't remember anything about it. They tell me it was a Monday. and it was raining, stormy Monday. That kind of figures for me. I mean, because that's what it's been ever since. Okay, but that's another story. But, you know, I'm talking about logic here. I'm talking about emotions being attached to logic. You have to attach your emotions to logic. Now, the white supremacists say, and they did this on the plantation, and they still do it now, right in an office building or wherever you happen to be. Negro, don't do any thinking. I'm a white person. Let me do the thinking. You do the acting. In other words, you are the engine. All right? But I am the spark plugs, the gasoline, and everything. So you don't move. You don't do anything. You've got excellent qualities. All the parts are there and all like that. But you sit there until I give you a spark. Boy, girl, all right? You sit there until I give you. I'm going to separate you from logic. I have the logic. And I also have the emotions. But my emotions are attached to logic all the time. But I'm going to detach you, black people, from your logic is not going to be with your emotions. You can have all the emotions you want, but you are not going to be allowed to be logical. If I catch any of you people on this plantation trying to do some thinking and looking over my shoulder trying to read my books and all like that, I'm going to teach you people to hate books. All right? That's why it's a saying that's kind of popular among black people. And what is it? We know what it is. You want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. They break in your house. I saw an advertisement in a catalog the other day. It was a dictionary. It was something that looked like a dictionary, but actually it was a box. And they say, put your valuables in that, and then put that on the shelf. A dictionary? Something that looks like a dictionary, but it's actually a box, but it looks like a dictionary, which is a book. Put your valuables in that. And when that black person breaks in your house, I guess that's what they're saying. I would kind of think in the system of racism, that's what they're saying. They'll look all over that place. They'll tear the place apart. One thing they ain't going to touch is that dictionary over there. That's the key to knowledge, all right? The key to how to do things other than breaking a house, all right? They ain't going to touch that. Why? Are they that way by nature? No. We train them that way. We train them that way. And when we let them have a book, we fill it with so much nonsense that they ain't that dumb. After a while, they get tired of reading something that's pure nonsense. And so they learn to hate picking up anything that looks like a book because the books don't seem to pay them anything. And that's why black people have been trained to hate school, because we really don't put anything in our books that will really help them to solve their, what, problems. But let me get back to the question. Emotions must be attached to logic. Both of them serve a purpose, but they have to walk in harmony together. Logic plus emotions. This is how you solve problems. All of the problems that you'll ever have. We have been trained not to let those two things ever get together. I don't want everything to become built around Neely Fuller. That thing about that personality cult, you become your own personality. That's what the book is supposed to do. Make each and every black person his or her own leader. You're no longer looking for a leader. You've had leaders. You've got leaders now who have come and gone in the history books. We don't need to keep piling on leaders. I mean, and everybody's sitting back on a log because we've been trained that way to wait on the maximum leader, the final leader. We have been led, and we have been led to a thing called logic. That's what all the information that comes to us is about. So what is logic for? It's to make each and every person his or her own leader. That's correct logic. I mean, when you teach a baby, the baby shouldn't, just doesn't come back to the nest, keep looking for guidance. And among animals, they kind of send out that signal. At a certain point, you are your own leader. That's what a cat will tell kittens. At a certain point, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know. Now, that's the main thing. Get everything that you need to know, because if you don't have everything you need to know, then you're going to have to keep coming back. It's just like, what do they call rerun? I mean, that character in one of...
Yeah.
You're right. In other words, you keep coming back to the college. You never go out. There are some people who become, I understand, I heard this term back in the 1940s, professional students. Well, we're all students, because you're always supposed to be learning, but you're supposed to be able to learn something and hold on to it and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. Birds do that. Bees do that. The birds don't keep coming back to the same nest that they were raised in, saying, where's mama?
Yeah,
where's papa?
Yeah, that's
but
true.
black people are trained to do that. Which way did the white folks go? I mean, because I don't know nothing. I'm helpless. I mean, why can't they stop this killing here? We don't know how to stop killing each other. Why don't some white folks come here? And when the white folks come here, why is it that they kill so many of us? And the white supremacists say, well, I don't kill as many of you on a daily basis as you kill each other. How about that?
Wow.
But we say, yeah, but you kill some of us and you're supposed to know better. All right, well, what is it that we're supposed to know when we can't spend 10 minutes alone without going at each other's throats?
Correct.
And there's a reason for that, and we've been taught to do that. That's why we got to break training. Black culture, as it is now, is absolutely worthless. First of all, I would never make that statement, not ever. Okay? The code says stay away from making statements, particularly if you're criticizing something that black people are doing or something that you disapprove of. You may disapprove of it, but stay away from making statements. Ask questions. And so the question would be, I'll give an example, according to the code. I wouldn't go on the air or any other place or report it to a newspaper that rap and hip-hop are bad for black people. I would ask a question. Everything is within the frame. I'd like to say this, first of all. Everything in the counter-racist codification falls into one of 2 categories: constructive, non-constructive. So you just simply ask a simple question. Is rap and hip-hop, generally speaking, whatever that means, first of all, you want to describe what rap and hip-hop is. Get that straight first. What is rap? What is hip-hop? What's the difference between rap and hip-hop and other forms of what you might call communication or music genre or whatever it is you want to call it? And is it musical? First of all, is it music? Is it poetry? And let the person who is doing it explain what it is, all right? First of all, get that nailed down. What is rap? What is hip-hop? What's the difference between rap and hip-hop? Are they the same thing? Get all that threshed out first so that we'll all be on the same page. Then you say, now, are there different forms of it, all right? And what forms? What are all the different forms of it? What forms do they take? All right, and break all that down. See, these are questions, because all problems are solved through the process of what? Questions and answers. Then you move on to the 3rd step, which is, okay, let's take it individually now. Let's use an example. So you play a hip-hop song or a rap song, if there is a difference between the 2, okay? Play one and then play the other, and then say what the differences are. You get that far. Then you move on to the next step. And you say, okay, is this one of the shining examples one of the best examples of rap, all right? And so you play it, the entire thing, okay, whatever it is. And then you ask the bottom line question. Does this have a constructive effect on the thought, the speech, and the action of black people? Is this constructive or is it non-constructive? Now, you don't stop there. If you say it's non-constructive, then you have to examine it and see how is it non-constructive, all right? By what? By the effects that it has. When a person listens to it or looks at it or whatnot or plays it, what are they inspired to do? Because all sounds inspire you to do something. I don't care what sound it is.
Yes.
Sound of a waterfall. It inspires you to do something. The sound of water running in the kitchen will inspire you to do something. You might get up and want to say, did I leave that water on in the sink?
Or go to the restroom.
Yeah, right. There you go. See, you're going to be motivated to do something. So you just examine what black people are motivated to do, you know, in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, when they hear certain sounds. Because rap and hip-hop are just sounds. That's all they are. They're sounds.
Okay.
So when you hear these sounds, whether it's rap, hip-hop, or a bird that's chirping outside your window, what does that make you do?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
What do you want to do as a result of hearing that?
Okay.
All right? Because you're going to want to do something. It might be just, hey, I'm going to turn this off. Or it might go the other way. I'm going to turn this up.
Yeah.
And that's the first reaction you'll have.
Yeah.
Then it comes down to the second and the third and the fourth reaction
Yeah, whatever.
as a result of what you were listening to.
Oh.
Well, if I understand that question, no, you be the master of words. You don't let any word master you. A word is just a word. Words don't even mean anything until they have a definition. That's what gives the N-word so much power. It doesn't have a definition. And if you don't believe it, you just ask the person, like I said earlier in this program. Ask the person who calls you that, what is one? Now, it's supposed to be a derogatory term, but here's where the key is to the power of that word. No dictionary tells you why it's derogatory. That's where the secret of that magic comes from. Any word that doesn't have a concise definition is extremely powerful.
Wow.
Why? Because if you use a word and nobody really can pinpoint exactly what it means and what it doesn't mean, all right? It's not just what it means, it's what it doesn't mean.
Doesn't mean, yeah.
Right. See, words have definitions, but you can use any word. You can make up a word right now and not give it a definition and go around applying it to different situations or different things or different people, and you can cause all kinds of havoc, all right, with a word that does not have a definition. Why? Because you have control of the word. You have absolute control over a word that you invented and did not give a definition to. And you can go around and apply that word to things, you can apply it to people, you can apply it to animals, and you can cause all kinds of chaos. Because why? The people who take the word seriously, without knowing what the word is supposed to mean, exactly, and here again, without knowing what the word doesn't mean, all right? See, people don't even think about that. What is it, all the things that the word, the N-word, do not mean?
Yes.
Can you make a list of the things that this word does not apply to?
Yeah.
All right? No, the word has no boundaries. Why? Because it has no definition. And any word that doesn't have a definition has power. All right? I can call you something and laugh. And if you don't know what I'm calling you, I can drive you crazy. And I get other people to laugh when I use the word, but I apply it to you. I just apply it to nobody but you. This word fits you. But I don't give it a definition. I never tell you what it means or what it doesn't mean. But anytime I use it, you start feeling bad. And I start using it and get other people to use it. And they use it toward you. And you start feeling worse. Next thing you know, you're crazy. You have been driven absolutely insane. And I have complete control. But the formula is you simply ask questions. Because what does the code say? All problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. So if the N word is a problem, and with a lot of people, that word is a problem, it's no problem with me. I got complete control of that word. All right? It's no problem with me at all. You can call me that all day long in any setting, and it has absolutely no effect. Because of what? Because I understand what the white supremacists are doing with it. Only thing between me and somebody else is that I have that understanding that the word has a meaning, and the meaning is supposed to be derogatory when it's used toward me, but they don't say why.
Okay.
All right?
So
that's the key. If you understand that, the word loses its power immediately. I mean, like you've been worried about the word forever, you can drop it right this minute simply by that formula.
By that formula.
I mean, it's gone. It's gone forever. Nobody can ever touch you with that word. I don't care what they do. I don't care how many white people sit around all day long and write it on the walls. You can look at it and it won't mean anything. Why? Because you chose to think that it doesn't mean anything. That's just a choice.
That's just a choice. So when those guys...
That's a choice by you. You make that choice. They know that.
Okay.
You know, you're the one running around in circles crying. I came to my desk today, and they had a big N word scrawled on my desk. Well, there's a long list of suggestions that a non-white person can make to a white person about what a white person can do that's in the code book. But since I'm not looking at it directly right now, two of the things that are right at the top of that list. First of all, never, ever say anything to a non-white person that is not true. Because a lot of white people are always asking, they're making statements rather, they're saying, black people are always marching and complaining and whining about this and whining, and they never give you any details about doing anything. They just say that we don't like the way things are. And they break windows and turn cars over and foam at the mouth and shout slogans and whatnot, but they never go into any details about what it is that they want us to do. They call us all these names: racists, white supremacists, bigots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not businesslike. They just believe in running up and down the street throwing things and yelling and insults and calling us names. And we white people who want to help don't know what to do because they're too busy calling us names and not going into any details, not acting like they're going to sit down and do business in a sane, methodical manner to solve their problems. They just say, we don't like it the way it is, and we are racist, and blah, 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 blah. So the code approaches this, the counter-racist code, the suggestions that I make, because many times they're telling the truth about that. Back in the 1960s, some white people were asking that same question, just in that way. What do you want us to do? Name something. And they just say, well, they say, well, what do you want? See, they use that word want. And I remember in one instance, the answer was from a group of black people was, well, what do we want? What do you got? Okay, and everybody laughed. See, but it's no laughing matter. I mean, when it comes right down to when the rubber meets the road. So the first order of business, I thought about that. That's why I started putting it in the book. Oh, when they ask you a specific question, what do you want? And you want to get into specifics, say, well, now, first thing we want is don't ever say anything to a non-white person that's not true. Now, a lot of people will say, well, we want housing, we want better jobs, we want et cetera, et cetera. We can get to that later. That's on the list, too. But top of the list is don't say anything to a non-white person that's not true. Why? Why is that in the textbook for victims of white supremacy, right at the top of the list of what you say to white people when they ask, what do you people want? Why is that at the top of the list? Because white supremacy thrives on falsehood. This is the first thing they do when they get ready to mess over people, is start saying things that are not true and get people to believe it in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The white supremacists make sure that they have a whole arsenal, a whole warehouse of things that they say that are not true. Because when you fool people, you know, you got them. You know, when you got people completely dizzy, walking around, I mean, with a head full of non-truths. I mean, everything you have said to them, or most of the things you have said, have turned out not to be true at all. I mean, that person is just groggy right from the lies that they're getting, all right, the non-truths. So the first order of business, don't say anything. If you want to really help, don't say anything ever to a non-white person. If you're a white person, don't say anything ever to a non-white person that is not true. Make sure that what you are saying is absolute truth. Don't say anything ever that's not true. And number two, because I named two things. That's the first one. Number two, right at the top of the list. And these two things will go a long ways. Don't say anything that's not true. And number two is don't withhold constructive information. The minute, on a job or anywhere else, the minute you get that constructive information, pass it on to a needy, a non-white person who is in need. That information, and they don't have that information, is constructive information. Don't withhold constructive information. Don't keep it to yourself or pass it on to other white people and skip over the non-white people. Don't do that. In fact, make it a priority to give it to the person who needs it most. And in many cases, I'll say, probably in most cases, it'll be a non-white person that needs that constructive information. Constructive information goes a long ways. Information is power. Constructive information is power all over the world. All right? So don't withhold constructive information. The white supremacists are skillful at doing that. They'll give you a whole bunch of information, but it'll be non-constructive. They'll rush to give a non-white person a whole bunch of ideas, a whole bunch of information to send them down a path that's headed for destruction. So we want constructive information, all of that constructive information, any constructive information that you have, anything that you think will wind up really helping this non-white person, give it to them immediately. Make a beeline to them deliberately and do it. Those two things will go a long ways. You can't be in a poisonous system, and the government of the world is the system of white supremacy. That's the only real government of the entire planet called Earth. And it's a system that's designed to mistreat people through deception and through direct violence. Now, deception, which causes confusion, is indirect violence. Anytime somebody's trying to fool you in order to harm you, I mean, it's not like playing little child games or something like that, but they're fooling you with the intention of doing harm to you, where you're going to lose something, including maybe your entire existence. Then that is a form of violence. A person fools you. Give an example. A person says, knows that that bridge that you're fixing to cross is weak, too weak for your vehicle, because the person has made the bridge weak. They went out in the middle of the night and did things to the bridge to make it weak, so that the bridge will not stand the weight of your vehicle.
Yes.
So you come along early in the morning, happy, cheerful, going on vacation, and you're going to cross that bridge. And the person who made the bridge weak in the middle of the night comes out, gasses up your car, whatnot, and looks at you with a smile, knowing full well what is going to happen when you cross that bridge. Now, the white supremacists, that's deception.
Yes.
All right? He tells you that, hey, the bridge is open, and it's a brand new bridge, and you'll enjoy your trip, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, knowing full well the weight of your vehicle is not going to get you across that bridge, and that you and your vehicle and your entire family and whatnot, what you call your family, is going to fall into the water.
Yes, sir.
Now, the racists know that. They're good at that type of thing. They do it all over the world all the time. Set you up for failure in all areas of activity. So that's just one. Okay? So you go waving, smiling, driving across the bridge. And the white supremacist and his white supremacist associates, they look at each other and wink and say, watch this. And the bridge falls and you perish. And that's what they call fun.
Yes.
That's the white supremacist mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they will help set you up. I mean, you know, on the surface, it looks like they're doing you great favors.
Yeah.
They're great at that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And that's in every area of activity.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, in economics, they do the same thing. In economics, set you up. And you think that you're going to be sailing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're going on, you know, hey, this is going to, but see, you don't see what's coming around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
In education, same thing. We are educating you people. Come into our schools, and we're going to teach you this and teach you that. All right? You got to be able to you should go, because you don't have any options anyway. All right? Because they are going to teach you a lot of things that are very useful. But along with that, they're going to do what? That's where the poison comes in.
That's where the poison comes in.
See, when they're teaching you something,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to put a little bit of poison in it. In economics, when they're giving you something, a stack of money, somewhere in that, they got some cyanide or something between the stacks.
Yes.
All right? It's poison in everything that they approach you with. Economics, education, entertainment. Oh, you want to be a black entertainer. Oh, okay. They come on in. They dress you up, and they just say, how much money do you want? You know, you're going to make this movie, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. See, but at the same time, they're going to put just a little bit. They don't have to put much, because poison has a way of doing what? Spreading.
Spreading.
All right? So in everything that they got all glitzy and very attractive and all painted up and all suited up and extravaganzas all over the place and whatnot, they put just a little bit of poison in there, and you don't even notice it, but that poison begins to spread. And the next thing you know, what you started out to be a festive occasion
Mm-hmm.
is going to turn out to be a total disaster.
Total disaster.
Somewhere down the road. And
Now,
that's in every area of activity.
Right.
You've got to understand the system of white supremacy, what it is, and how it works. See, direct violence is when they just walk up and shoot you in the head.
Okay, boom, yeah. Okay.
That's a done deal.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't call for a whole lot of explanation. You don't scratch your head about
Right.
that trying to figure out what that's about.
Okay.
You're dead. That's what that's about.
Gone.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, the other is, and that's the one that they really like, because they can stretch it out and whatnot and enjoy it more, you know. when they kill you, you're just dead. They're just dealing with a dead body now. That's over right now. But when they can confuse you over decades, just keep confusing you, having you doing stupid stuff and you don't know how stupid it is, okay? And they're just laughing all the way at your stupidity, at our stupidity,
Yes, sir.
at my stupidity, at all black people's stupidity, because we're supposed to be stupid forever, okay? And how do you keep people stupid forever? Having them doing stupid things and think that they're doing something great. And they do that through confusion. By telling you that it's great. Anything stupid that a black person does, the white supremacists will walk up and say, keep it up, all right? I mean, and stupidity to your detriment. You're actually harming nobody but yourself and other black people, all right? Mass stupidity. So they'll help you do that in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anything that they see a black person has a talent for doing or has a proclivity, a desire to do.
Yes, sir.
They'll look at it and they'll help you do it as long as they can figure out a way to make it non-constructive. All right? That's the thing to watch for. Is what you're doing, is it constructive or is it non-constructive? And you should ask yourself, if it's constructive, how is it constructive? What does it actually produce that has a constructive effect? Stay in that question mode and ask yourself these questions as you go along doing whatever it is you're doing. Is this constructive? And if it is constructive, how is it constructive?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right? You should ask yourself that question all day long, every day, regardless of what you're doing. Ask yourself, this thing that I'm doing, is it constructive or is it non-constructive? Because there's no such thing as in between. Every move that every creature makes, birds, bees, people, alligators, is going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect on something or somebody. But what does change is when the white supremacists are affected. And that's when you sit up and take notice. See, we watch each other like hawks. Black people, even walking down the street, you don't pay any attention to white people at all. It's like they're not even there. We just kind of glance at them, make sure we don't bump into them or something like that. But generally, they're invisible. They're invisible to us. We're not invisible to them. But generally speaking, it kind of looks like they are. But they have already paid enough attention to us to have us under their thumb. So on a minute-by-minute basis, they don't look up and check out black people at all, white people. When they get on the subways and whatnot, they, on a plane, they open a book or look at the iPads or something like that. There ain't no point in talking to you. They ain't going to learn nothing that they don't already know that's worth knowing. They already know that. See? You're not a good conversationalist, none of us, even when we think we're smart. Whatever we know, they know where we got it, okay? That's worth knowing. And they also know one thing for sure. We are prisoners of war. So if they're on the warden's staff, they can entertain themselves by sitting next to a prisoner, all right? One of the guards come down and sit down and talk to one of the prisoners. Well, that's just, casual entertainment. But you're still a prisoner. And they are still on the warden's staff. So they just go back to doing what they're doing. Because why? It's advantageous in a prison to be on the warden's staff. And you are not a prisoner. You're on the staff of prison masters. You're not a prisoner of war. So, a lot of black people say, well, white people don't like us. It's not a matter of liking. White supremacy is a business. It's a gangster business, like the Corleones. What did Santino in the movie The Godfather kept trying to tell young Michael? Michael, you're getting excited about being hit on the jaw. It wasn't personal. I mean, that lick on the jaw, I mean, it wasn't personal. It's business. They're just putting you in your place, knowing what your place is in the structure. I mean, they don't have anything against you personally, but you're violating the laws of the structure. The laws, and in the broader sense of what we're talking about, white supremacy has laws. And so when that white person says something harsh on the job to a black person, it's not really personal. It's that, wait a minute, you're forgetting your status. You are in the system of white supremacy, fella. I mean, you're a nice guy, and I like you and all like that. Personally, if you just want to get personal, I really like you. I like you better, and I've had white people say that. I really like you better than I like a whole lot of white people. But it ain't about liking. You all think it's about who likes who. It ain't about who likes anybody. It's about taking care of business. And I am in the business master category. You happen to have been born in a category that's not a master category. Sorry about that. That's not my fault, buddy. That's not my fault. I can't help it if I was born white and a member of the royal family. You just ain't royal. And it ain't personal. I like you personally better than I like anybody in my family. But I got to do harm to you. Why? Because that's the white code, that's why. And I can't violate the white code, period. Now, they don't tell us that, but that's what that means. And that's what I mean by understanding white supremacy. When you understand that one principle, that's a gold mine of knowledge. And Neely Fuller didn't invent it. He had to have it knocked into his head. I mean, you know, not literally, but figuratively, over a period of years, I finally got it. Well, the white supremacists do all sorts of things, but there's one thing you can count on. If a white person believes in white supremacy, there's one thing you can count on. They do not make any move of any kind, ever, unless it's going to add strength to the system of white supremacy. And they are so deceitful at making these moves. They're the best checker players ever when it comes to racism, okay, and counter-racism. They know what moves black people are going to make before black people even think about making the move, all right, because after all, they raised us, if you can call it raising. I mean, we haven't had no teacher other than them, okay? So they give us all our values. They tell us that a pair of shoes is more important than a black person's existence. All you got to do is put a label on the side of it, and you can get that black person killed this evening. Right by his own schoolmate. Will kill him. Not for the shoes, because he's already wearing shoes. It's for the label that's on the shoes. You will die. You will die a miserable death by the hand of somebody that lives 3 blocks from you. Where you find black people on the planet, we will slaughter each other because the white supremacists say, kill him for that pair of shoes that I gave you, boy. You know, I knew when you walked out of here that was your death sentence. I sold you those shoes for $700, and I figured by the time you got halfway where you're going to be dead. I already knew that when I sold you the shoes, and I knew who was going to kill you, all right? And I'm going to get a twofer today. And I knew that I was going to get the guy that killed you. So, I mean, I got to get rid of 2 of y'all today, real easy, and make you pay for it. That's what I've been saying all down through the years, and I hope that it catches on. I hope that people understand it, because we are not trained by the white supremacists, and they're not going to. There'll be a universe within ourselves as individuals, because they know that any time we try to get what we call a group together, oh, that's tailor-made for them. They can bust that up in 5 minutes, all right? All you need is a 2 or 3 black people to get together and call themselves anything. Put a label on it, And so that already you have separated yourself from all the other black people just by doing that. They already know that. So they know the science of how people think. Okay? They're good at it. Okay? Because they have been through all of this among themselves. They have run tests on these things among themselves. White people kill each other running tests. They know more about murder than anybody. They know about manipulating people than anybody, the white supremacists, that is. So therefore, they will say that, hey, you know, if you're going to get a little group together to fight me, I'll help you build a group. At a certain point, I'll wait until to see if you can halfway got it together. Then I'll examine how your group operates. Then I will compromise your group, either by sealing it off from the rest of the people, because you've halfway done the job for me, just by having that label, all right? I mean, you know, the black people will look at black people who are in a group, who have formed a group, and the white supremacists already know that we're going to attack that group. Why don't they do something? They ain't solving my problems. I ain't joining them, all right? See, so the white supremacists know they got division right there. And that's solid, too. That group ain't going nowhere. But it's one thing, just like you just said, because that's the theory I have, that has yet to be proven, by the way. That's why I say it's a concept. That if you empower each individual person with a code of behavior, you will solve the problems of each individual person with that code of behavior. And there's absolutely no defense against it. That's not my concept. That's the concept that comes with the universe. If you empower each individual to solve his or her problems according to a code, you have empowered and solved the problems of all individual persons. And the white supremacists, when they come after everybody, they don't know who to pick to start with, because they're going to have to get everybody. And that's the position you want to put them in. The position of, we got to either do justice for the non-white people, for really all the people of this entire planet, or we're going to have to kill all of these non-white people. We're going to have to kill them all. In answer to the question here again, in order to keep it simple, always think of yourself as a prisoner of war.
Right.
All right? And your prison uniform is your skin color. That's your prison uniform. All right? In the system of white supremacy. You're already captured. They're not trying to capture you. You were captured before you were born. You were born in prison. Think of yourself as being a born prisoner of war. So you act accordingly. That's why I keep using that movie, Shawshank Redemption, as an example. Think of yourself every day as being a prisoner of war. And you act the way that a prisoner of war. See, once you start thinking that you're a free person and all like that, you're already in danger. You're putting yourself in danger. A lot of, particularly younger black people, are not told this. So therefore, they just walk around saying, hey, I'm a man. I'm a woman. You know, I'm supposed to be respected and all like that. No, you're not. You're in a system of white supremacy. And, I mean, you not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You have to see it that way. Why? Because the people that run this world see you that way, whether you see yourself that way or not.
Or not,
And
yes.
that is your actual status, all right? So if I'm walking through what they call a mostly white neighborhood, which is not supposed to be no such thing.
Exactly.
A white neighborhood, that's not even supposed to exist
Mm-hmm.
in a correct society. A white neighborhood? What are you talking about? You know, a white neighborhood? What is a white neighborhood? You know, well, you know, well, if you don't know that, I mean, hey, then you need to get educated.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
You don't understand racism. But if I'm walking through what is called that, and what everybody says, I mean, you know, black people say it, white neighborhood, black neighborhood, without even thinking. What are you saying? You know, these things are not even supposed to exist.
Supposed to exist, right.
A neighborhood is like Mr. Rogers. Everybody's a neighbor. The whole world is a neighborhood. What are you talking about? Oh, no, it ain't quite like that. Why? Because it ain't quite like that. So when you're walking through, if I'm walking through the area, what? Don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee.
Yes.
I mean, if a white person comes out of their house and say to me from their doorstep, hey, you, hey, you, I'm talking to you over there. Where are you going? I'll stop. And I'll say, I'm taking care of business. I'll answer the question. What business? You ain't got no business over here. Now, this might actually happen. I expect it to happen at any time, you know. And I'll address, I address exactly what the person is saying. That's the code way. Pay attention to exactly what the person is saying. The person is making a statement. I don't have any business over here. Okay? Now, I have a question. Sir, where am I supposed to be going? Where am I supposed to conduct business? And wait for his answer. See, I'm not going to raise my voice or nothing. I'm going to answer. I'm going to address what he's talking about. And since I don't know what he's talking about, I have to ask. Because I'm going to get this straight from him. See, it ain't going to be no argument. This is going to be a conversation. Because that's what the code teaches me.
Okay.
Hey, don't argue with anybody.
Right.
Have a conversation, but don't argue. And if he comes down off the porch and want to follow it up, I'm not going to start calling them names or something like that. You ain't got no business telling me nothing, blah, blah. I don't go, you know, I'm going to address what he's saying.
Okay.
And let him tell me, all right, everything that I'm supposed to be doing and why.
Okay.
Okay? And then in the meantime, if he's acting belligerent, I'll say, well, sir, maybe this thing is going to the extent, well, we need a third party or two. So then I will get on my cell phone, if I got one, and call the law enforcement officers and see what they have to say about this whole scenario, since we are having a civil conversation here. And let them determine where it goes from there,
Alrighty.
whomever they may be. Take it step by step. The white supremacist said, I can't maintain a system with black people being serious, so I'm going to redirect their seriousness, and I'm going to do it through something that they relate to best. I'm going to do it through a medium that they can relate to, and that is entertainment. So I'm going to twist and turn their entertainment in such a way that where it was anti-non-justice before, where they were trying to talk about justice and head in that direction, I'm going to redirect that whole machine right before their eyes, and since they are a primitive people, they won't even realize what I'm doing, because it will all be fun, because I know how to package stuff that doesn't make sense so that it is fun. And I'll have them directing their entire existence to getting up in the morning and looking for something stupid to do. And they won't even know that they're looking for something stupid to do, because they're just that stupid, because I will have programmed them to be stupid. And from the late 1960s, after the death of Martin Luther King and the riots and the upheavals and all like this, and black people with their fists in the air and all like that, and trying to stumble and fumble and find their way and get focus, the white supremacists made a blueprint and put it into action. And that is, I'm going to have these people so confused, they don't even know what they started out to do. And by the late 1970s, they had just about completed it. And we've been on that ever since. And you mentioned something very important. They are more comfortable than ever. But see, it's like making gorillas comfortable in a cage, or monkeys, or pandas. You still got them in a cage, but they're comfortable. See, so give him some bling bling. It's like giving an animal a brand new car and training